Hello.
Who's ready to suffer, motherfuckers? That's right. It's the Hunger Games time. All misery, all the time. Brought to you by Panem FM. Hold on. Hell yeah. Come down to Panem, read this book, never be happy again.
I don't know why, but I was expecting you to press a button and just sandstorm starts.
Well, I can do that. Hold on. What's up, people? People of Panem, are you ready to be fucking miserable? Gale's back in town. That's right. 5 straight fucking chapters of this motherfucking piece of shit. And you know what? Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Peeta looks like shit. Peeta's miserable. Coin's here. And Gale and Katniss kissed. Life is pain. I hate this. Okay, I'll stop now.
I am just having these like war flashbacks back to like high school when this song would come on and the boys would just form like this horrible mosh pit in the center of the dance floor where they just throw each other around.
Yes.
And all the women were like forced to the outside to like watch this weird tribal spectacle.
See, we just jumped up and down.
It was a spectacle.
Yeah, no, we in where I grew up, we just jumped up and down.
Listen, I have no problem with it. I just had flashbacks, many flashbacks, like just visceral flashbacks. But also it's so funny because like I had a plan as to how I was going to start this episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, this was better than that. Because I was just going to start it with, and welcome to Wheel Takes His Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Oh, that would be good too.
But this was better.
Did I technically turn the introduction into my own Mojo Dojo Casa House by impinging upon your plan?
Oh my God.
Greta knows everything. Greta is on to us.
There's a strike going on, so we can't say what movie it is, but there's a movie with a Mojo Dojo Casa House. And maybe you might want to see it if you find yourself looking for something to do. That's what we'll say.
It's good.
This podcast is not brought to you by any movie.
That's true. Allie, take it away.
There's a strike. Donate to the Entertainment Fund.
Yes,
Community
it's
fund.
linked below. Support the WGA and SAG. Sorry, go ahead. What are we here for?
I'm Allie, and I've read all of the Hunger Games.
I'm Gus, and I am a first-time reader of the Hunger Games. I have read up to and including Mockingjay Chapter 9, which is called Chapter 9 because they don't do... Suze doesn't... She names the sections. I finished The Ashes.
Suze is like, I'm not going to fucking name every chapter.
And
Who
in
has
my
the
mouth
time?
are ashes.
And I respect her for that. Gus.
Allie.
Katniss and Peeta macked on each other.
Well, that was a long time ago. Peeta has been in prison for 130 pages.
Mm-hmm. But what did you feel? What did you feel about Gale?
I hate him.
And his, like, continuous presence in this book.
Every time he shows up, I get a little bit angrier.
What?
He's the worst. He's the fucking worst.
He is just Gale. Anyone else would be a snail. Yes! We did not plan that.
No. Here's the thing. Is his heart in the right place a lot of the time? Yes. Is it nuanced? Yes. Am I going to ignore that and continue to talk about how much I hate this fucking kid? Yes.
Nuance isn't funny.
I think he is. I'm very worried about him.
What? What are you worried about?
He seems... I can parse this out better as we read through it. It's kind of hard for me to put it to words right out of the gate.
Give it a shot. What's the worry? Gale seems like a lovely young man.
He seems to be really into being part of the rebellion, which is fine. I think he's mostly chill, but I think he's erring a little bit too hard on the Jaime Lannister burn them all side of things.
Rebels are hot. Have you never seen Enjolras in Les Miserables?
What?
Enjolras. The hot rebel. The
I
one
haven't
with
seen
the
that in a long
flag.
time.
Oh my God. Who does not
it's been
have
a very
that?
long time
Because
since I've
Marius
watched
is
that.
like, okay, Marius is like, all right, Cosette's into him, Eponine's into him, so he's got to be doing something right. But the sleeper person in Les Miserables, I think, is always head rebel Enjolras.
Okay.
It's spelled E-N-J-O-R-A. forgot how to spell it halfway through.
I mean, it's French, so.
Enjolras. It's like, but I'm pretty sure it's like Enjolras.
That sounds
It's
French. Yeah, it sounds French.
Anyway.
But Gale sucks. I don't know. It's tough because I'm like, yeah, he's mostly doing a lot of good stuff, but also he has some weird fucking lines in these books, in these chapters in particular.
He's just passionate.
He seems like I don't like how tight he is with Coin. I don't like how well they're treating him. I feel like he's just, I don't know, man. I don't like this kid.
You don't like him?
No, I think he sucks.
Well, we are going to find out if he sucks. Probably.
But I do have notes.
You do? Oh,
Yes.
share for chapter 5.
All right, chapter 5. And if you want to know where we left off.
We're gonna go through chapters 5 through 9.
Yes. And if you want to know where we left off with Katniss agreeing to be the Mockingjay and Coin being like, I'll kill you if you step out of line. It's not good. Okay, chapter 5. Okay.
I mean, she has nothing to fear. If she stays in line, everything's fine.
Yeah, and historically, she's really good at that.
She's the best at staying in line.
Okay.
Katniss is queen of lines.
So maybe I do get my bingo square for the prep team because, like, they're on board.
I think you do.
I think I do.
I'm gonna say you get prep team.
Thank you.
Bingo square.
Okay. Thank you. I'm very happy about that. Posey is such a little angel. How can she be related to the sucking happiness void that is Gale?
I mean, her name's Posey. Like, she can't suck.
And then
it's the cutest name on the planet.
Immediately after that, I wrote in all caps, you can vouch. God fucking damn it, he's back.
About Gale?
Yes. Gale, you sick fuck. Why are you musing on how to snare hummingbirds? They're magical little fairies of wonder. Why are you like this?
Yeah, what would you even want to snare a hummingbird
He was just
for?
intellectually like, oh, yeah, I bet you could catch... Because I think BT is like, could you even catch one? And Gale's like, yeah, and here's how.
Creepy.
Yeah, and I'm
It's like, why would you want to catch one?
It's a thought exercise, but I'm still just like, this tells me your brain is aligned in the, like... Because that's the right question, is why would you want to?
Speaking of hummingbirds, like the wildest thing has happened. So since Schooner passed away in November,
Our first dog.
I and you have seen a like weird amount of hummingbirds. A weird amount.
Many.
Am I wrong about that?
No,
like
there
it's
have
like
been many.
constant hummingbirds. And then I did some reading and I found out that in some culture, and I don't remember which one, they're like supposed to be like the dead saying hi.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, oh my God. And so anyway, I just thought it was like kind of a cute thing that like Schooner might be saying hi through hummingbirds. Anyway.
I like it.
It's kind of cute. But so why that would make it even more monstrous.
I know. And then I wrote, what the fuck is this Chat GPT Google Translate slogan? District 13, be serious.
I know.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I can't even remember it. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's truly what happens when you put too many executives
Honestly,
in a room.
this is focus tested bullshit. And then I wrote, God bless Haymitch. Because Haymitch, she like strikes a pose and is like, people of the Panem Society, remember how to drink your Ovaltine in rebellion. Ka-cha! And Haymitch is like, congratulations, we killed the revolution.
Yeah, truly. The only thing that can really kill a revolution is making it uncool.
Yep. All right, Allie, knock him dead. Take it away.
All right.
Crush the
Ready.
game.
Another force to contend with.
Ugh.
Another power player who has decided to use me as a piece in her games. Although things never seem to go according to plan.
I was talking to my parents, by the way, today, and they're listening to the Hunger Games episodes, and they said, it's really fun because it's just like Allie reads the book, and then you're in the corner just making upset, distressed noises.
Well, it's so funny because you were like, I don't know how to be a first-time reader. And I said, honestly, just like scream into the void.
Upset and then commit really hard to something, whether or not you actually think it's totally true. That's
been my advice. And then, we do Hot Nuance podcast, and Aradia, who's usually on Watts spoilers, is like, I'm not used to being the one who doesn't know anything. Like, now I'm a first-time reader on Hot Nuance. And I have said the same thing to her. I was like, just honestly, like, have the other person calmly, like, discussing and reading things, and you're just a freaking emotional wreck the entire time, and also the dumbest person alive.
It's more fun
and
that
it's
way.
like, it's truly the most fun, silliest experience, and you just, and everyone loves it because if you're right and you commit really hard, everyone's, like, screaming at you in joy, and if you're wrong and you commit to it really hard, it's delightful in a completely different way because everyone's screaming with laughter.
Yes.
Yeah. So just like go. And then when I started to realize that this is what I think the podcast has been like really good for me spiritually and mentally, because once I realized that like all I have to do in life is just commit really hard to a bit. And everything's like silly, just be all like, oh, life is actually really silly. Then all of a sudden everything just kind of like was better.
Helps.
And I was like, oh, weird. Anyway, so life is very silly. Anyway, so you're doing a great job, Gus.
Thank you.
Scream into the abyss more. Actually, every time you do start screaming, everyone messages me and is like, I love it more.
Oh, okay, great. So, we like hearing Gus suffer. You
yes.
fucking people.
This is what they listen for.
I am so happy about all of you. You are too good to me.
Every time you're like, I hate this, it's wonderful, everyone messages me and it's like, more, like Stanler and Waldorf.
Yeah.
So first there were the game makers, making me their star and then scrambling to recover from that handful of poisonous berries. Then President Snow, trying to use me to put out the flames of rebellion, only to have my every move become inflammatory. Next, the rebels ensnaring me in the metal claw that lifted me from the arena, designating me to be their Mockingjay, and then having to recover from the shock that I might not want the wings. And now Coin, with her fistful of precious nukes and her well-oiled machine of a district, finding it's even harder to groom a Mockingjay than to catch one. Groom is an interesting word.
Well,
I know this was written before.
Yeah, it's not
like,
that context.
No, but I do think it's purposeful.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's because they're like, basically.
I mean, it's what they're doing to her. They're like, District 13 is not this utopic, better.
No, it sucks.
Area. No,
they're essentially manipulating her into a role, or they're trying to form her into an image. I mean, they say that explicitly in the past few chapters. They're like, okay, we're gonna make you look right, and then we're gonna hope that like you turn out right.
Yeah, but Coin has been the first to publicly brand me as a threat because she's not complying with Coin, and I'm like, excuse me, did you expect Katniss motherfucking Everdeen to go like, I can't wait to be subservient to a dictatorial power. Have we just met this girl?
Sounds like my Katniss.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they're cleaning her up and doing like her whole look. So they're basically doing exactly what they've done to her before.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, she goes, with my acid-damaged hair, sunburned skin, and ugly scars, the prep team has to make me pretty and then damage, burn, and scar me in a more attractive way.
Yeah, and like they overdo it.
Triggering after seeing some kind of something that we just saw recently.
Some movie with Mojo Dojo Casa Houses in it.
I've never heard of that. we, because of the strike, can't really talk about any things. So we're just going to allude very generally to stuff. Sometimes, maybe, if we make a reference. But we won't tell you what it's from. So they kind of like fuck up her entire being by making her pretty and then being like, okay, now make her ugly hot. You know, that thing that people like to do where celebrities win Oscars for movies where they like fuck up their appearance a little bit in some way.
There's a line from a movie that we saw that would be a perfect reference.
Don't want to get to it.
About how they shouldn't cast a certain person if they want to make a certain point.
It was so perfect.
Anyway, this is hard.
It's hard. Anyway. Oh, and it's sad because Octavia's all freaked out still. And
yeah, I bet she is.
Yeah.
She was tortured by these fucking weirdos.
And Venia goes, Katniss is not going to hurt us, to Octavia. Katniss did not even know we were here. Things will be better now. Octavia gives a slight nod, but does not dare look me in the eye. That's so sad.
This is deeply, deeply depressing.
It's all deeply depressing.
Deeply, deeply depressing.
They struggle to figure out what to do with Katniss's gross scar from where Joanna
and Fulvia
dug out the
vomits when she sees it. Like,
tracker.
Grow up. I get it. It's tough to see body horror. It is. But I'm also like, You watch children be mauled for years on the television. Just because
true.
you know her now, it's hard to look at. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, well, hold on. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it might be a really brutal scar, and I don't know if it's 100% healed yet. So it could be kind of like...
She says it looks like an
rough.
apple, right?
It's not something a little vitamin E is going to, take care of. My dad has this like really brutal scar that he calls the zipper. That goes from the back of his knee all the way to the back of his ankle.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, it's like...
Oh, yeah, because he had a knee replacement.
It wasn't... I think... I don't know. I might have been from... Because he's had so many surgeries on his legs at this point. Like, I know he tore his Achilles at one point, and he has screwed up his knees several times. It might have just been knee surgery, but like back at a time where it wasn't quite so sophisticated as it is now. So they did the whole... They opened up the whole leg. I don't know what it was from.
Ick.
But anyway, people have like... and I've got a couple
by the way, I'm not icking scars. Scars are cool.
Scars are cool.
I am saying that for these, scars are cool.
Some people have like gnarly scars. Like I think they're cool, but they're gnarly.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing when you don't have a good story for that scar. Do you know what I mean? Like when you have a really cool scar, but you're like, I tripped and fell.
Well, this is like, in my case, I have scars on my leg from when I had surgery to remove, well, I don't want to get too graphic. I had surgery on my knee. And people say, oh my God, look at, what's that? What did you do? I said, I destroyed my knee at one point. They go, how? And I say, well, I was playing laser tag and I turned around and it fell apart.
He turned around and his knee just like...
That's the rough thing. I think it's fun to have stories like that. I personally think it's fun if it's like, wow, how'd you get that scar? And it's like, I was... I don't know, eating animal crackers, and it turned out that one of them was actually a rhinoceros.
Which is a reference to some film.
Anyway.
Don't know which one.
Scars are beautiful.
But I have two that are kind of cool, but one of them I got because I was watching the Olympics as a kid, and they were doing the diving board, and I thought I could do that, which is... something that kind of is a running theme for like most of the hilarious injuries I've ever had.
Yeah.
Is I like see someone do something and I decide like, well, if another person could do that, I theoretically could also.
Yeah.
And so I jumped off the diving board backwards.
Oh.
My dad said it was like watching me in slow motion.
Weren't you like 6?
I was 5.
You were 5. Yeah,
I was 5. So... or no, 6, because it was my second time in kindergarten.
Now, if you've listened to all of our episodes, you have heard this story in Asmodean's Magic Pancake.
Ah, yes. I was my second time in kindergarten. I had to repeat kindergarten because my ADHD was so bad I couldn't keep my clothes on. So
Hilarious.
They said that I wasn't mature enough for first grade. And so, yeah, so my second time, like right before school pictures, I jumped off the diving board backwards. And then my dad didn't take me to the emergency room because he was like, I can fix it. Because my family is like that. Like we're just a rub dirt in it kind of group, which is dumb. So he got a bunch of butterfly bandages.
My family is medical.
I know. We could not have had more different upbringings if you tried. But so my dad did a bunch of butterfly bandages on my chin instead of taking me to the emergency room. So I had like a little cast on my chin of butterfly bandages. And then like the next day was school pictures. So it was, I probably could find the picture somewhere and it's hilarious. But
wait, maybe this wasn't Asmodean's Magic Pancake.
No, Magic Pancake was my dad taped a pancake to my forehead. That's a different thing.
I thought you also had the chin scar at this point.
In the Magic Pancake photo?
I could be wrong.
No, I was younger than that in the Magic Pancake photo.
Oh, well.
Magic Pancake photo happened because my dad went to Aspen after his divorce. So I was 4 in that photo.
So,
and then the other gnarly scar, wait, can I tell the other gnarly scar story?
Sure.
Also happened around the same time, like the year before. So my first round of kindergarten, my stepdad was running on the treadmill. And sometimes what would happen when we were little is my stepdad would walk on the treadmill and let us walk behind him.
Oh God.
And so he's running on the treadmill and I thought,
no,
wow.
Don't do that. Never do that.
And at the time, the treadmill was like right next to my parents' bed. Like it was on the other side of my parents' bed when he walked into the bedroom. And so I thought, well, I could totally do that. Right? I could run with him. It'd totally keep up. Wrong. So I jumped off of the bed onto the the treadmill as he's running on it. I fly off the back and my arm got sucked into the mechanism.
You're very lucky that you weren't seriously injured.
Oh, totally. I was like, both times, honestly. Both times I was honestly very lucky to have escaped with just a scar. But anyway, so now whenever I see, because I sometimes will be in the gym and parents will come in with their little kids and let them screw around on the treadmill. I'm always like, don't do that.
This is like, I'm the kind of person
so bad.
who every single time I use a treadmill, I clip the safety thing on. Not because I think I'm going to fall. I don't. But if I did fall, I don't want to get fucking dragged under the shit.
As someone who has been dragged under the shit before, it's really fucked up.
Bad.
Yeah, you want that thing to shut off as fast as possible.
Yeah. All right, now just because we're no longer on battery power doesn't mean that we should take 3 hours. As much fun as I am having.
Hours. Anyway,
our
so
most
those are
recent
my scar
episode,
stories.
for those of you who don't listen to the Wheel of Time episodes, last week we recorded an episode where we were on battery
run
power.
A podcast.
And we did a sub 50-minute episode. It is the shortest episode we've ever released. So there you go.
It's also the most stressed out you've ever sounded in a podcast. And it was hilarious.
Multiple people reached out to ask me if I was okay. Yes, thank you. I'm fine. It had been a long day.
Well, it's just that when you go back and forth between two sets of divorced parents with completely different, like, wake up times, go to bed times, expectations, like food, like everything. It's just all different from house to house. And like, my parents are great people, but it's just like they're very different vibes. And you're someone who has made it an open secret that you are good at computers and good at hanging stuff and like other basic construction work. Both of my parents were like, Gus, we need you for these physical labor tasks. And then Gus is like sitting there like while everyone else is eating and talking, like trying to fix a bunch of people's computers. And it was just like, that was a lot for you.
It's a good time.
Anyway, and that's why you don't tell people you're good at stuff. Never tell them. So then, okay. Back to the book.
It was once, yeah.
Oh,
right,
wait,
yeah,
no. One last thought.
One time I briefly worked at a theater company in Chicago, which has since shuttered. And I was an intern there. And then after I was done with my internship, I stayed in touch with them. And they knew that I had some construction background or some like manual labor background. And I know we haven't talked about the Hunger Games in 10 minutes. We'll get there. But the artistic director emailed me and was like, hey, we would like to remove a wall. Can you help us remove the wall?
Gus is like 23 years old.
I was 20.
Point.
I was like, is it load bearing?
And they were
said,
like, what's that?
What does that mean? And I went, and I came in and I looked at the wall and I went, okay, it's not load bearing. I can remove it. It'll take me several days and I will have to rent tools. And they went, okay. So I did.
Please tell me they paid for the rented
me
tools.
And a Sawzall by myself. A Sawzall is a reciprocating saw. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. Taking down this whole ass wall on a ladder.
No.
And then I finished it. And then 4 weeks later, they reimbursed me and didn't call me ever again. So don't tell people that you have skills.
Don't tell anyone.
And don't
keep that shit to yourself.
I was like, this is great. I'm going to maintain a relationship with this theater company.
No. Theater people, I love
them.
But like, what the fuck?
They also asked me to install a piss curtain for the urinal so that people who were washing their hands wouldn't accidentally stare directly at someone's dick. I also did that. I signed it.
You signed it?
Yes.
Ugh. I wonder what ever happened to that piss curtain.
I bet it's still there. The theater shuttered, but the building remains. Anyway, The Hunger Games. Speaking of piss curtains, Gale. How did we get here? The prep team.
Oh, so Gale's being a shithead.
What?
Because he says that Katniss put Coin in a bad position.
Gale, fuck off.
Making her give Peeta and the others immunity when they don't even know what sort of damage they might cause.
How's that boot polish, you fucker?
So I should have just gone with the program and let the other tributes take their chances.
I know, I'm kidding.
Not that it matters because that's what we're all doing anyway. I mean, it's totally fair of her to be like, they're prisoners, so whatever they do, we shouldn't hold against them because they're literally prisoners of war.
I mean, yeah.
Like, they have no control.
I mean,
at this point on what like they're forced to do.
As evinced by the end of this section where Peeta, I assume, says like 3 words he's not supposed to say and then gets the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah. And Gale says, "You're still angry." And she says, "And you're still not sorry." And he said, "I still stand by what I said. Do you want me to lie about it? No, I want you to rethink it and come up with the right opinion."
Oh, they're so
That's called
teenagers.
Family Thanksgiving.
They're so teenagers, man.
It's a lot. They're so teenagers. Not a derogatory thing.
No, I'm just
true.
saying that's what it's like.
I mean, Gale is refusing to acknowledge the potential nuances of a situation. Right? There are always nuances in every situation. That's what makes things difficult. And BT watches some hummingbirds, and when he's in a wheelchair, so he still can't walk after everything that his body went through in the arena.
Yeah.
And 13 has been studying the aerodynamics of hummingbirds.
I wonder why.
And he says, "Can you bring a hummingbird down with an arrow? I've never tried. Not much meat on them." "No. And you're not one to kill for sport. I bet they'd be hard to shoot, though. You could snare them, maybe."
Fuck you, Gale. Shut the fuck up.
I'm glad that my voices are different enough that you know that was Gale.
They're great. No, you're fantastic. I love your voices.
I'm working
They're
on
wonderful.
So Gale does this whole thing where he's like, "Oh, this is how I would catch a hummingbird."
And she's like, "Well, now I'm just sad."
Yeah, it's like fucking sad.
God,
like
this fucking guy.
Hummingbirds are such an innocent seeming creature, and there's like no reason to kill them. You know what? Manatees are so nice.
Yeah.
That sharks don't kill them.
Oh.
They like refuse to kill them because manatees are so nice. And I saw this girl talk about it on TikTok, and she was weeping. And I was like, that's me too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. There we go. Because I've had enough of this dude. Just kind of right out of the front.
God damn it. You know what? I'm going to pause this recording so I can put that on the soundboard. I'll be right back.
I've had enough of this dude?
Yes.
You're just going to put that on there right now?
Yes. All right, now we have this.
Because I've had enough of this dude.
Every time Gale fucking does anything. All right. Please continue.
Katniss gets a new bow.
Oh, this is weird. Wait, that happens now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's weird because like Gale gets his fucking tactical, ultra badass Call of Duty 95 scope, sleet, no scope, 360, blow your shit up bow. And then her bow has wings and it's voice activated. And I don't understand what that means because she's like, I can turn it off, but I don't understand. I don't know what
I'm assuming it like prevents other people from using the bow.
But what I don't understand is she's like, I can deactivate its special functions. And I'm like, what are the...
Care to explain the special functions?
She doesn't explain it. And this is one of the few times where I'm like, well, wait, did you just like delete the paragraph?
Well, maybe they'll explain it later.
I don't know, because she like shoots down several helicopters with explosive arrows.
I think it's just that the arrows are kind of exploding.
But there's also explosive and fire arrows. She has Zelda arrows, but she also says the bow can sense her and she can turn off parts of it.
Is it like Thor's hammer where she can like reach out and
maybe? Like I don't understand what is cool about the bow.
Well, maybe we'll find out. Oh, and she also thinks about BT and how she saw a tape where BT, who was still a boy, connected 2 wires that electrocuted a pack of kids who were hunting him. The convulsing bodies, the grotesque expressions. BT, in the moments that led up to his victory in those long ago Hunger Games, watched the others die. Not his fault, only self-defense. We were all acting only in self-defense.
Ugh.
Yeesh. Ugh. Okay. And somebody asks how Finnick is doing, and Katniss says he's having concentration problems.
Bad. He's doing bad.
And I was like, that's what my teachers in school said to my mom when I couldn't keep my clothes on in kindergarten. So he's having concentration problems. Consult your doctor. Yeah. So they look at her special bow. We don't really get any kind of insight into what it does yet.
No, except that it's voice activated and only recognizes her voice, and she can say good night to turn it off. But again, I don't know what that means. It's cool.
Yeah, and Gale also gets to play with...
I've had enough of this, dude.
Gale also gets to play with some gadgetry as well. Because BT's like, well, you'll be issued a gun for battle, so you might as well kind of get comfy with them. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about 18. And, I think 18's kind of young, but again, what do I know?
Well, you can join the military at 18.
I disagree with that.
You can't have a beer in the United States, but,
Yeah, I just think they're so young. They're so young. I don't know. I don't think that we should fight each other at all. I think we should all just build battle robots and put them in the desert somewhere and have them fight it out.
That would be cool.
I don't think we should be killing human beings at this point in our development as humans. I think we should just be like, that is so last century. You know what I mean?
That's so Panem.
That's so Panem. Oh, yeah. So it recognizes her voice, but only her voice. Because they wanted them to design a bow basically based on aesthetics. And BT was like, I'm also going to make it fucking scary.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a scary bow. Oh, and it's got a variety of arrows, razor sharp, incendiary, explosive. Why not give a 16-year-old explosive devices? Your prefrontal cortex is not developed.
Well, she's like 17,
or your frontal
18.
cortex is not developed. But we're going to give you explodey things. Oh, so Katniss sees like a little of what they've videotaped so far and like basically doesn't recognize herself.
Yeah, because this is when they're doing her makeup, right? And they're getting her all like dolled up.
Yeah.
And there's like a bandage over the wound, and she's like, this doesn't look like me at all.
Yeah, I watched the woman on the screen. Her body seems larger in stature, more imposing than mine. Her face smudged but sexy. Her brows black and drawn in an angle of defiance.
Because it's purely performative.
Mm-hmm. Wisps of smoke suggesting she has either just been extinguished or is about to burst into flames, rise from her clothes. I do not know who this person is. So, yeah,
this is a miss, you guys. This is a whiff.
Yeah. Why are we trying to sexy up a 16-year-old? And it's just
because the Capitol has exactly one Capitol people of whom the propagandists are from have one fucking shtick in this world.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's just like raw propaganda. Meanwhile, the Capitol's just like, I don't know, just put fucking Peeta up there, let him talk.
And Finnick's been wandering around the set and comes up to her and says, they'll either want to kill you, kiss you, or be you.
He's funny.
Yep.
He's funny now. He always was.
Yeah. He's, he just... Actually, I don't think I did his voice right, but whatever.
You kind of did a little bit of a...
Because I've had enough of this.
A little Gale
voice.
Yeah, I think I made him sexier, but whatever.
That's okay. I think you're doing a great job.
Hey, thanks. Oh, and then she has this line. People of Panem.
It's so bad.
Fight, we dare. We end our hunger for justice.
Can I try to say it like it's an actual...
Yeah.
I'm going to try really hard
line.
to actually sell this.
Sell that line to us, guys. You're an actor. Give it to us.
People of Panem, we fight, we dare, we end our hunger for justice. It doesn't make sense. What the fuck does that mean? End our hunger so we're not hungry anymore? What the fuck is wrong with these idiot people in District 13? This is why you need... Actually, that's one of my notes later, this is why you need to pay your writers coin. You can't let AI come up with your shitty-ass slogans.
I just feel like coin would make Treegate happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes. The thing that happened on the... We don't have time to explain Treegate right now.
All right. Yeah. Coin. This isn't it. We need to go back to the writer's room.
And they're like, oh yeah, we've been working on this for years. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I can tell by the way they present it that they've spent months, maybe years working it out and are really proud of it.
These
motherfuckers think they're Don Draper.
It's so bad. It's
From
toasted.
something. Anyway, it's toasted. From something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it seems like a mouthful to me, though, and stiff. I can't imagine actually saying it in real life. Unless I was using a capital accent and making fun of it.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Like when Gale and I used to imitate Effie Trinkett's May the odds be ever in your favor.
Give us one of those. Give us that in a capital accent.
I just did?
No. People of Panem.
Oh, okay. People of Panem, we fight, we dare, we end our hunger for justice.
See, that works for me.
That's really fun.
That works. That was great.
Yeah, I feel like...
That's the only way it works, is if it's just unbelievably over the top.
Yeah, it has to be not a 16-year-old from mining town.
Well, no, it's completely inorganic.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not good. It's just not good. And they're all so proud of it. And she feels really awkward because she's like, this is really bad. And so she tries, right? She goes, people of Panem, we fight, we dare, we end our hunger for justice. There's silence on the set. It goes on and on. Finally, the intercom crackles and Haymitch's acerbic laugh fills the studio. He contains himself just long enough to say, and that, my friends, is how a revolution dies.
Funny as fuck, this guy.
And that's the end of chapter 5. Chapter 6, Gus.
Yes.
Do you have any notes for us?
I have notes for us.
This episode might end up being a little bit long, so we may not actually get through every chapter.
We can split it up. We've done that before.
We might split it up into 2.
Okay, chapter 6. Fulvia, you useless fuck.
I don't know why. Fulvia to me just does not roll off the tongue.
It doesn't.
It rolls off the tongue just about as well as that slogan. You know what I mean?
Haymitch. I don't know, put her on the battlefield. Okay, but there's guns now. You do realize there's guns now, right, Haymitch? It's important to me that you realize that there's guns now.
I mean, theoretically, there have always been guns. They just don't have guns in the Hunger Games. I think probably horrifically in part because they're like, that would be boring.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so this is horrifying, but I get it. But also, it's horrifying. See, Finnick posing in his underwear is funny now that I know he isn't trying to bang a minor. Oh, so.
A minor.
A minor. So, District 2 is the cop district, huh?
Oh, yeah, where they got the peacekeepers from?
Yeah. Oh, joy. The suicide berries are pills now. This is fine.
Yeah, they've got... I mean... I get the practicality of it.
I get it.
I get the practicality because it's probably a nicer way to go than whatever the Capitol has planned.
Well, and I think they're also like, we don't trust Katniss to not, cut a deal to save Peeta.
I mean, I don't know what she would do in that situation.
I don't think she would. I'm just saying, I think Coin doesn't trust her.
Which I kind of get, maybe, to a certain extent. I don't know. Katniss does love Peeta. Regardless of whether or not she romantically loves him, she does care for him a lot.
Yes.
And that can make people do stupid things.
That's all I got. Knock me dead.
The shock of hearing Haymitch's voice yesterday, of learning that he was not only functional, but had some measure of control over my life again, enraged me.
Yeah, okay, all right, I understand.
Come on, it's not Haymitch's fucking fault.
Well,
that
they
Peeta
have
got captured.
They have this really nice heart-to-heart in a minute.
Yeah.
This chapter is a great scene because I really think these two and Gale are the only 3 who really understand each other. Oh, Jesus Christ. Gale? No. Oh, my God. I have to go gargle mouthwash. Peeta. Oh, God. Now he's stuck in my fucking head.
You and Katniss can't keep them straight.
There's a bit in the last chapter that I just wanted to... Oh, no.
Gus, I'm getting mixed messages from you.
That's what I meant to hit.
I'm getting mixed messages from you. I think you were applauding Gale. Oh my God, it's contagious.
It is.
Okay. So they gather around this huge table in command, and a group from 12 is part of it. That includes Haymitch and Gale, but also a few others I can't explain, like Levy and the legend Greasy Say.
The goat.
And Beechee's there. And like a bunch of people are just there hanging out. Dalton, the cattle expert from 10, Plutarch, Fulvia, the prep team. And it's the first time Katniss and Haymitch have been in a room together since she clawed him.
That was a little much, but again, I get it.
He looks slightly yellow and has lost a lot of weight, giving him a shrunken appearance. For a second, I'm afraid he's dying. I have to remind myself that I don't care. So Haymitch is like, let's call a spade a spade. All right. Would anyone like to argue that this is of no use to us in winning the war? That saves time. So let's all be quiet for a minute. I want everyone to think of one incident where Katniss Everdeen genuinely moved you. Now, not where you were jealous of her hairstyle, or her dress went up in flames, or she made a halfway decent shot with an arrow. Not where Peeta was making you like her. I want to hear one moment where she made you feel something real.
Not where Peeta was making you like her. That's so funny.
Not where Peeta was making you like her.
I wasn't correcting you. I was just like, it's
good.
And we're not talking about when golden-tongued, golden fleece Argonaut boy made you like her.
Quiet stretches out, and I'm beginning to think it will never end. When Levy speaks up, when she volunteered to take Prim's place at the reaping, because I'm sure she thought she was going to die.
Look at you breaking these voices out of no. Oh my God, I'm so impressed with you all the time.
Oh, good. Excellent example. Volunteered for sister at reaping. Somebody else. He's writing it down. Next speaker is Boggs, who I think of as a muscular robot that does Coin's bidding. When she sang the song, while the little girl died. Somewhere in my head, an image surfaces of Boggs with a young boy perched up on his hip. In the dining hall, I think. Maybe he's not a robot after all. Who didn't get choked up at that, right? I cried when she drugged Peeta so she could go get him medicine, and when she kissed him goodbye, blurts out Octavia. Then she covers her mouth like she's sure it was a bad mistake. Oh, she's so fucking traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
But Haymitch only nods. Oh, yeah. Drugs Peeta to save his life. Very nice. The moments begin to come thick and fast, and in no particular order. When I took Rue on as an ally, extended my hand to Chaff on interview night, tried to carry Mags, and again, when I held out those berries that meant different things to different people, love for Peeta, refusal to give in under impossible odds, defiance of the capital's inhumanity. Haymitch holds up the notepad. So, the question is, what do all of these have in common? They were Katniss's. No one told her what to do or say. Unscripted. Yes. So we should just leave you alone, right? It's BT.
Oh, you're fun, BT.
Well, that's very nice, but not very helpful, says Fulvia peevishly. Unfortunately, her opportunities for being wonderful are rather limited here in 13. So unless you're suggesting we toss her in the middle of combat, that's exactly what I'm suggesting. Put her out in the field and just keep the cameras rolling. But people think she's pregnant, Gale points out. We'll spread the word that she lost the baby from the electrical shock in the arena.
This is...
Plutarch replies.
Brutal.
Very sad. Very
this is
unfortunate.
This is a lot. I understand, but I'm just like, oh, okay, we're just gonna get rid of that because it's not convenient. I understand it wasn't real. I get it. I'm still just like, this is deeply manipulative.
So the idea of sending me into combat is controversial, but Haymitch has a pretty tight case. If I perform well only in real life circumstances, then into them I should go. Every time we coach her or give her lines, the best we can hope for is okay. It has to come from her. That's what people are responding to. Even if we're careful, we can't guarantee her safety, says Boggs. She'll be a target for every... I want to go. I'm no help to the rebels here. And if you're killed, asks Coin, make sure you get some footage. You can use that anyway. Fine, says Coin, but let's take it one step at a time. Find the least dangerous situation that can evoke some spontaneity in you. She walks around command, studying the illuminated district maps that show the ongoing troop positions in the war. Take her into 8 this afternoon. There was heavy bombing this morning, but the raid seems to have run its course. I want her armed with a squad of bodyguards, camera crew on the ground. Haymitch, you'll be airborne in contact with her. Let's see what happens there. Does anyone have any other comments? And Dalton says, wash her face. She's still a girl and you make her look 35. Feels wrong, like something the Capitol would do. Thank you. Dalton, the cattle guy. I can't remember what his voice is, so I don't care.
In one-offs, you do what you want.
So then Haymitch and Katniss have a conversation. He says basically, like, give it to me straight, honestly. And she says, I can't believe you didn't rescue Peeta. I know. There's a sense of incompleteness, and not because he hasn't apologized, but because we're a team. We had a deal to keep Peeta safe. A drunken, unrealistic deal made in the dark of night, but a deal just the same. And in my heart of hearts, I know we both failed. Now you say it. I can't believe you let him out of your sight that night. I nod. That's it. I play it over and over in my head. What I could have done to keep him by my side without breaking the alliance, but nothing comes to me. You didn't have a choice. And even if I could have made Plutarch stay and rescue him that night, the whole hovercraft would have gone down. We barely got out as it was. He's not dead yet, Katniss. We're still in the game. I try to say this with optimism, but my voice cracks. Still in. And I'm still your mentor. When you're on the ground, remember I'm airborne. I have the better view, so do what I tell you.
She doesn't.
We'll see. This is what she says. At least she's honest. So she washes her face and she looks like herself and she has like a gas mask and everything.
Yeah, she's all kitted out.
Yeah, she's totally kitted out. And BT, she tells Finnick that BT designed a special new trident for him. And he gets all excited.
Finnick is like, they won't let me go. I want to come with you. And she's like, you're not in a good place. Go get your cool weapon.
Yeah, because he's a mess, which is understandable because the Capitol has Annie. Oh, yeah. And he appears like without pants on. He just has like a hospital gown on and is like freaking out. And he says at the word trident, he goes, really? What's it do? I don't know. But if it's anything like my bow and arrows, you're going to love it.
God knows what a fucking bow does.
You'll need to train with it, though. And he says, right, of course. I guess I better get down there. Finnick, maybe some pants.
This is funny.
He looks down at his legs as if noticing his outfit for the first time. Then he whips off his hospital gown, leaving him in just his underwear. Why? Do you find this distracting?
See, I think it's funny now. They're friends.
I can't help laughing because it's funny, and it's extra funny because it makes Boggs look so uncomfortable. And I'm happy
they're friends, and both of them knows the other is okay with this.
Like the guy I met at the Quarter Quell.
Yeah.
I'm only human, oh dare. I get in before the elevator doors close. Sorry. This is what she says to Boggs, and he says that she handled it well. Because Finnick was kind of making a scene.
In a bad place,
yeah,
yes.
And Boggs was like thinking he would have to arrest him.
And then do they just get on the plane?
They go.
Pretty much. Yeah, they just get on.
They get on the hovercraft and they go. And Katniss at one point points out that District 13 left the rest of the districts defenseless against the Capitol when they left.
Yeah, and the guy's like, well, do you understand what mutually assured destruction means?
It's not that simple, is what he says. We were in no position to launch a counterattack until recently. We could barely stay alive. After we'd overthrown and executed the Capitol's people, only a handful of us even knew how to pilot. We could have nuked them with missiles, yes, but there's always the larger question. If we engaged in that type of war with the Capitol, would there be any human life left?
Not in Panem. And I guess we're just operating on the assumption that nothing else exists.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And Katniss says, that sounds like what Peeta said, and you all called him a traitor. Because he called for a ceasefire. You notice neither side has launched nuclear weapons. We're working it out the old-fashioned way. Over here, Soldier Everdeen. So, yeah.
When do they talk about District 2? Because all the districts are in open rebellion except 2, because 2 is the bootlicker district.
We're just about to get there.
Yeah. 2 is the bootlicker district.
Yeah, truly. Gail's in uniform,
also,
and she
I was
thinks
kidding
about
when I called Gale a bootlicker. He's not really.
I mean,
he's a little bit. He might be.
Yeah,
jury's out.
You were wrong. Gail's in uniform, and Katniss thinks he looks kind of hot.
Because I've had enough of this dude.
But Boggs says, well, don't expect us to be too impressed. We just saw Finnick O'Dare in his underwear.
Yeah.
Boggs is funny. Plutarch tries to lay it out in simple terms for me. First of all, every district is currently at war with the Capitol except 2. which has always had a favored relationship with our enemies despite its participation in the Hunger Games. They get more food and better living conditions. After the dark days and the supposed destruction of 13, District 2 became the capital's new center of defense, although it's publicly presented as the home of the nation's stone quarries in the same way that 13 was known for graphite mining.
How did you say that word?
Quarries?
No.
What?
Quarries.
Oh my God, no, I knew that. I'm just tired.
You're good.
Quarries. What? Quarries? My bad.
You're good.
Blah, 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 blah.
I was just like, wait.
No, I'm just super tired. District 2 not only manufactures weaponry, it trains and even supplies peacekeepers. Well, I mean, that's like dictatorship rule number one, right? Is you get the police force from outside of the particular area so that they're not sympathetic to the citizens that live there. Yeah. That's like a classic dictatorial move. There's some show in which there's a line that they talk about.
It's a show where there are
the military.
There are toasters, and the toasters fly, and Katie Sackhoff is in it.
Yeah, and it's you want to read that quote for me, guys?
It's about basically dictatorial militarization of police and the like. It says there's a reason you separate military and the police. One fights the enemies of the state, the other serves and protects the people. When the military becomes both, the enemies of the state tend to become the people.
Very true. I think it's one of those classic things where it's like when you take your police force from, and I believe that there are some issues with this in some places.
What?
When you take the police force from outside of the community, they no longer look at the community as something that they're like serving. It's like the people become an antagonistic force to them because they're not invested in that community.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is a problem. So Katniss says, you mean some of the peacekeepers are born in 2? I thought they all came from the capital. So that's learning a little bit about the origin of the peacekeepers. And Plutarch nods, that's what you were supposed to think. And some do come from the capital, but its population could never sustain a force that size. Then there's the problem of recruiting capital-raised citizens for a dull life of deprivation in the districts. A 20-year commitment to the peacekeepers. No marriage, no children allowed. Some buy into it for the honor of the thing. Others take it on as an alternative to punishment. For instance, join the peacekeepers and your debts are forgiven. Many people are swamped in debt in the capital, but not all of them are fit for the military duty. So District 2 is where we turn to for additional troops. It's a way for their people to escape poverty and a life in the quarries. Quarries. Good fucking God. They're raised with a warrior mindset. You've seen how eager their children are to volunteer to be tributes. Cato and Clove, Brutus and Anabaria. I've seen their eagerness and their bloodlust too. But all the other districts are on our side? Yes. Our goal is to take over the districts one by one, ending with District 2, thus cutting off the capital's supply chain. Then, once it's weakened, we invade the capital itself. That will be a whole other type of challenge, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So then Gale asks if they win, who will be in charge of the government, and Plutarch says, everyone. We're going to form a republic, where the people of each district and the capital can elect their own representatives to be their voice in a centralized government.
I don't know if Coin's going to go in for that. Coin seems like she might want to just, I don't know, man. I got a bad feeling about this shit.
So this is where, like, it becomes clear that this is the U.S. in the future, right?
Yeah.
Because he says, don't be so suspicious. It's worked before in books, in history books. And if our ancestors could do it, then we can too. And so Katniss goes, and if we lose...
wait, you got to read this line. This line's
sorry.
so fucking funny.
Frankly, our ancestors don't seem much to brag about. I mean, look at the state they left us in with the wars and the broken planet. Call us out. Clearly, they didn't care about what would happen to the people who came after them. Seuss.
Ooh.
Seuss.
Ooh.
What year did she write this book?
2008 or 9.
Okay, sorry. Ooh, I really wish we weren't in the find out era.
You've been holding this book for 1 hour. You already snapped the spine squarely down.
I did not snap the spine.
I just love how different our philosophies are with physical
books.
books.
Are meant to be loved.
Yes.
Well read.
Yes.
So Katniss asks, and if we lose, then I would expect next year's Hunger Games to be quite unforgettable. That reminds me. So he takes out some pills.
Oh, God,
and
right,
he says, we named them Nightlock in your honor, Katniss.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, basically, if they get captured, they're supposed to take them and they'll die painlessly. And Katniss holds it for a second. Is like, where the fuck do I put the death pill?
Oh, yeah, she's
and
a
then
special...
Plutarch shows her
Yeah.
that she's like a special slot on her body to put it in, on her outfit. That is in a place where even if her hands were tied, I could lean my head forward and bite it free.
I hate that.
Cinna, it seems, has thought of everything. And that's the end of chapter 6.
Ugh.
Chapter 7, guys.
Yes.
Wow.
All right.
We've got kids with suicide
This
pills.
is a lot.
What is next?
Well, I guess aren't they like 18 now? They're technically adults from a legal
I
perspective,
believe
I guess.
in my mind that I'm a 30-year-old child.
Oh, I do too.
I'm like,
I know.
I'm just a 30-year-old child. This is my first day. You know, like on TikTok where it's the like Finding Nemo kids singing, "Where's my dad? I'm all alone. I'm too small to be here on my own."
Every time I have to call someone to make an appointment.
Literally every time I send an email. Every time I have to pay a bill. Every time I have to do anything. The real moment where I was like, I'm a fucking adult was when I was 24 as a teacher. I think it was 24 when I first started teaching, maybe 23. I was like fresh out of college. So I was 23. I was fresh spanking out of college. And they shoved me in a room full of children and were like, if one of them dies, it's your fault. And I was like, I am a 24-year-old child in charge of other children. This is terrifying. There's like no one supervising me in a room full of like 24 children.
All right, I do have notes.
Do it.
Hooray! Katniss recognizes the power of her own propaganda.
Yay.
If I were the dictator, I simply would not bomb the hospital. That's kind of like don't do war crimes 101, you guys.
Yeah, that was spectacularly shitty.
Likelihood that this was a false flag operation by District 13, 8%.
Why do you think that?
It's
you
really...
think that Coin and
Yes.
District 13, I'm shocked. I'm shocked at these accusations that are coming out of your
I don't
mouth
think
right
it's
now.
likely. I said 8%.
I am shocked that you would think that of these people.
I think that they were like, yeah, I don't know, man. This footage of Katniss being sad around children isn't enough. But if they're dead children, I mean...
Coin would have really flipped at that point.
I don't actually... That's not a prediction. That's I'm just going to throw this out there just in case it's true. I don't think it is. But there's like there's a little argument in the back of my head that's like, it could be.
You're suspicious.
Yes, because we get a lot of direct footage from the Capitol. But this, we just get somebody telling Katniss, hey, Snow is on TV right now taking credit for this bombing. Do you have a comment?
If it was a false flag, why would he take credit for it, though?
No, that's what we don't see him take credit for it.
Oh, so they could be fucking with her?
I am going like full Pepe Sylvia on this, you know, as like most times you hear someone online arguing.
Some show.
Yeah, most times you hear someone online arguing that something is a false flag operation. They've gone full Pepe Sylvia about it, and I am doing the same in this case. I don't actually think this is a false flag operation. A false flag operation, by the way, if you're not familiar with that definition, is when let's say country A is at war with country B, and country C is on the sidelines, and both country A and country B want country C to join the war on their side. A false flag operation is where country B attacks country C, but they're bearing the flag of country A.
Yeah, they're like, we're all trying to find the guy who did this.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, look, country A attacked you, but it was actually country B. And country B attacked country C to get them to blame country A for the attack. That's what that is. I don't actually think that's what's happening here, but I think there is a non-zero chance because it's very convenient how it all pans out.
It is a little convenient.
All right, then I wrote,
how it all pans out.
if we burn You burn with us is 9 billion times better than that bullshit coin came up with.
I know. Katniss is like, it's toasted.
Yeah.
Which is a reference to some show. I'm just going to make this bit over and over again.
This is a good bit.
Pay your writers. Anyway.
Also your actors.
Yeah. Katniss improv'd a better line than a room full of adults came up with for like 6 years. And I love that for her. In this particular instance, the think tanked.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you. The hovercraft makes a quick spiral descent onto a wide open road on the outskirts of 8. So they get out of this fucking hovercraft and the TV crew follows her. It consists of a burly Capitol cameraman with heavy mobile cameras encasing their bodies like insect shells, a woman director named Cressida, who has a shaved head tattooed with green vines, and her assistant Masala, a slim young man with several sets of earrings. Also, an excellent dish to order if you're getting Indian. On careful observation, I see his tongue has been pierced too. And he wears a stud with a silver ball the size of a marble. That sounds uncomfortable.
That's a lot, man.
I've never had a tongue piercing, mostly because I'm terrified of needles. Like when people will talk to me and they're like genuinely surprised that I don't have a tattoo, because I think I apparently give off the vibes of someone who would have a tattoo, which like I kind of agree with. But I am so terrified. And there are things that I have been like, oh, I would get that tattooed on my body, but I am so terrified of needles. It's not happening. Like there's no, and I like talk to people. I'm like, does it hurt? And they're like, not that much. And I go, I am a wuss though. I'm a wuss though. And it would hurt me. And then have you ever seen in some show? I don't know which one. I do know which one, but I'm not going to say it. But there is a character that gets that's going to get a tattoo for her dead mother. But then the needle touches her like one time and she like runs away screaming. And she just has this little blue dot.
Yeah, I actually don't know what you're referencing.
And she tells her compatriots that it's how her mom sees her from heaven.
That's fucking funny as hell.
And that's why she gets it. And then the friend who did get a tattoo is like, no, your mom's up there going, where's my lily, you wuss? Because she was going to get a lily. Anyway, that's how I would be about a tattoo. But you know, I also just think of the practicality of it, like having a marble in your mouth. Like, how do you do anything?
I don't know.
How do you talk?
You ever chewed gum?
How do you chew gum with a marble in your mouth?
It doesn't stick to it, so I don't know. I think it'd be fine.
How do you close your mouth?
I'm not partial to it myself. The marbles aren't that big. How big do you think marbles are?
Marbles are like this big.
You're holding your hand. I can't see. You gotta turn it.
It's this big.
That is a gumball.
How big is your marble?
A marble is a lot smaller than that.
Wait, let me see. That's still huge.
Marble,
it's in your mouth.
That is not big. No. Marbles are tiny. Marbles are like the size of your thumbnail.
That's still in your mouth. That's huge.
Half an inch in diameter.
That's huge.
No, it's not. Then again, my mouth is much bigger than yours.
That's like 1/2 of my knuckle. That's half an inch.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's not that big.
That's very big.
It's stuck in place. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, but like, how do you do anything?
Have you ever talked with gum in your mouth?
Yeah, but I put it to the side, into the cheek.
Sure, I just don't think it's that difficult.
I talk with gum on my tongue.
Lots of people have big piercings in their tongues, and they operate in the world.
Yeah, but like not
just
that.
fine.
They're not that big.
Some
they're like
of them are
big.
What are you coming out against? Big tongue piercing now? What is this?
I'm not. I like do what you want with your body, but like I feel like that would be profoundly uncomfortable.
Well, that's why you don't have one. I also, like, for my part, I don't think I would enjoy having gauges. That's why I don't have them.
Well, I would worry that they get caught on something.
Other people have them. Good for them. They look cool. Not for me.
Listen, I'm just an accident-prone person,
That's
so I
true.
just am convinced that like somehow if I had a marble in my mouth at all times, that I would fall asleep, it would pop out somehow and I'd choke on it.
Well, I assume you take it out when you go to sleep.
Do you?
You take your earrings out when you go to sleep?
I should more, but sometimes I fall asleep with them in my ears.
Does it kind of hurt?
The next morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
a
that's
little
why
sore.
he's probably supposed to take your tongue marble out. I don't know, man. I don't know shit about shit.
But I've heard that your tongue is like the fastest healing part of your body, so you're like kind of not supposed to take it out.
You
But
probably
maybe I'm
have
wrong.
to leave a stud in when we could look this up,
have a
or we
lot
could
of
continue
questions.
talking at each other about it, making things up, getting it wrong, and infuriating the tongue piercing community who listens to us.
The tongue piercing community is coming out enraged, incensed. Maybe I've just never seen a big tongue piercing before. Or maybe I've just not paid that close attention to how big they are. I'm just like, that seems huge.
It's kind of big.
And
It's
kind
not
of
that big.
bulky and inconvenient. And I would assume that like then doesn't it hit the roof of your mouth?
Again, have you ever had gum in your mouth?
Does it hurt when
Probably
you
not.
hit the roof of your mouth? I talk really fast.
Well, yeah. Does the middle of your tongue slap against the top of your mouth when you talk? It's mostly the
Constantly.
front and the back. Some of it's the middle, I guess, but
I don't know. I feel like I'd bruise the roof of my mouth somehow.
sure.
How do you do this?
You don't. That's the trade-off.
Really?
I don't know.
Wow.
Again, I have never had anything pierced. I'm the wrong person to ask.
True.
I'm the most vanilla motherfucker in this place.
I have two. I have like piercing and then second piercing.
Yeah.
And the second piercing, I like was so brave because I thought it was going to be with the guns, but no one does the guns anymore.
Yeah.
And because apparently they're really hard to clean. And so they pierced me with a needle. And I was like, oh my God.
You were very brave. I was there.
So brave. Mostly because the guy with the tattoos, I didn't want him to judge me if I didn't
They
go
were
through
very
with
nice.
it.
They were very nice.
They were very nice. But I was concerned that they would judge me if I changed my mind. So I decided to be brave. And then he like grabbed my ear and like pinched it a little and was like, that's how bad it's going to hurt. That doesn't hurt, right? And I was like, okay.
Was that true?
No, it hurt so badly. He gaslit the shit out of me. No, it hurts so bad. And he goes, afterwards, he goes, see, didn't hurt that bad, right? And I was like, mm-hmm. Anyway, and that's why I wouldn't get a tattoo. Okay, so they casually walk into this hospital and Katniss does not realize that she is a fucking celebrity. So when she comes in, the woman directing the incoming patients like sees them and does like a huge double take and then comes over and she looks exhausted because of course she is. She's a nurse during wartime.
Yeah.
And there's a bandage around her throat that needed changing about 3 days ago. Ugh. She has an automatic weapon slung across her back. And so she meets Katniss. The woman's in her early 30s. And they introduce Katniss and she says, yeah, I know who she is. You're alive then. We weren't sure. And Katniss thinks, am I wrong? Or is there a note of accusation in her voice? And she says, I'm still not sure myself. And Boggs immediately says that she's had a bad concussion and a miscarriage.
Very sad.
Nice.
Very fake.
Yeah. Oof. All just oof. And Gale says that he is worried it's not a good idea for them to assemble the wounded like this. But and he says, you think this is a good idea? Assembling your wounded like this? And Katniss thinks, I don't. Any sort of contagious disease would spread through this place like wildfire. I think it's slightly better than leaving them to die, says Paler. I kind of like her. Honestly.
She's fun. R.I.P. She's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, she's like, there's basically no other option. She says, come on in, Mockingjay. And by all means, bring your friends. There's corpses everywhere. They've got a mass grave nearby. That's a bummer.
Very bummer.
And Katniss basically like grabs Gale's hand and tells him not to leave her. There's all kinds of gruesome injuries and illness.
There's like kids there talking to her, and she just basically zones out and is really good to these people for several pages. She's just like kind and listens and understands the power that her presence has. And I know like this we saw a really good play, which we can talk about, called, what was the fucking play called? The Princess Diana play.
Oh my God, it was so good. About the home for people who were dying of AIDS during the AIDS
Casey
epidemic.
and Diana.
Which of course is not ended necessarily.
Casey and Diana is this really good play we saw in Canada about yeah, Princess Diana visiting this AIDS hospice called Casey House. And this is not the same thing. I'm not saying it's the same thing.
I mean, it's a basically celebrity meeting with a very beat down group of people.
Yeah. Now the difference here is District 13 is doing this to make themselves look good. And I'm not saying that there's not always an element of that, but that is kind of a notable difference here. Is the main purpose of this is to bolster I don't know.
Well, I mean, part of the reason why Diana is considered a gay icon is that she was a person seen hugging people with AIDS, basically showcasing like it is okay to touch people with AIDS. Like it's not,
and that's a big part of that.
You're not going to catch it from that, and that was a big deal at the time.
I believe that play is going to Broadway.
God, I hope so. It was so good, truly incredible. But yeah, and so she kind of like goes around and meets a bunch of different people as they're all excited to see her, and like everyone's like reaching out to her, they want to touch her, and a lot of people ask about Peeta and assure her that they know he was speaking under duress during that controversial interview, and people are also sad to hear that she's lost the fake baby.
Yes, I think I was wrong about that play going to New York. Sorry.
But yeah, I begin to fully understand the lengths to which people have gone to protect me, what I mean to the rebels, my ongoing struggle against the Capitol, which has so often felt like a solitary journey, has not been undertaken alone. I have had thousands upon thousands of people from the districts at my side. I was their Mockingjay long before I accepted the role. A new sensation begins to germinate inside me, but it takes until I'm standing on a table waving my final goodbye to the horse chanting of my name to define it.
I thought you said waving goodbye to the horse, and I was like, this took a turn.
It's like, bye, horsey. Power. I have a kind of power I never knew I possessed.
Yes.
Snow knew it as soon as I held out those berries. Plutarch knew when he rescued me from the arena, and Coin knows now. So much so that she must publicly remind her people that I am not in control. So they leave, and Cressida goes, we've got some nice stuff in there. And, Boggs says some nice things to her about, that she's got to give herself credit for what she's done. And Gale says, I can't believe you let all those people touch you. I kept expecting you to make a break for the door.
Now, is he saying that because he knows Katniss doesn't like being touched? Or is he saying that... I think that's why.
Joking with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean...
Because Gale
doesn't seem like...
For as much as I like to shit on Gale, he seems very... There are a lot of good things about him, too.
Yeah, I think it's more the crowds, chanting her name and shit than it is the, gruesome stuff. He's seen her kill animals.
Yes.
I don't think he's like, ew, the sick and dying. I don't think that's the feeling, the vibe. And he tells her mom would be proud of her. And she says, my mother won't even notice me. She'll be too appalled by the conditions in there. And she wants to know if it's like that in every district. And yeah, it is, because most of them are under attack. But they're trying to get aid wherever they can. And then Boggs says, we're to get to the airstrip immediately. There's a problem. Incoming bombers. Let's move. So they take off running, but I don't sense any immediate threat. The sky's an empty, cloudless blue. The street's clear except for the people hauling the wounded to the hospital. There's no enemy. No alarm. Then the sirens begin to wail.
No.
Within seconds, a low-flying V-shaped formation of Capitol hoverplanes appears above us, and the bombs begin to fall.
I do actually just think it's the Capitol.
I'm blown off my feet into the front wall of the warehouse. There's a searing pain just above the back of my right knee. Something has struck my back as well. It doesn't seem to have penetrated my vest. I try to get up, but Boggs pushes me back down, shielding my body with his own. The ground ripples under me as bomb after bomb drops from the planes and detonates. It's a horrifying sensation being pinned against the wall as the bombs rain down. What was that expression my father used for easy kills? Like shooting fish in a barrel. We are the fish, the street, the barrel. Katniss! What? I'm startled by Haymitch's voice in my ear. What? Yes, what? I'm here. Listen to me. We can't land during the bombing, but it's imperative you're not spotted. So they don't know I'm here? Intelligence thinks no, that this raid was already scheduled. And Plutarch comes on and tells her to hide in a light blue warehouse 3 feet down from her. So they get down there, basically run over there.
It's very exciting. And then there's there's another bomb.
Boggs has the lead, but no one else passes me. Instead, they match my pace, protecting my sides, my back. I force myself into a sprint as the seconds tick away. She's also got a wounded leg at this point. We pass the second gray warehouse.
There's big fucking piece of shrapnel in her leg.
Yeah, and run along the dirt brown building.
And also, she was concussed already, and now she's worse. This is why I'm pretty sure that my conspiracy theory is just that, and this is just simply a
unless Coin's trying to get her killed.
Yeah, well.
Up ahead, I see a faded blue facade, home of the bunker. We have just reached another alley, need only to cross it to arrive at the door when the next wave of bombs begins. I instinctively dive into the alley and roll toward the blue wall. This time it's Gale who throws himself over me to provide one more layer of protection from the bombing. It seems to go on longer this time, but we are farther away. I shift onto my side and find myself looking directly into Gale's eyes. For an instant, the world recedes and there is just his flushed face, his pulse visible at his temple, his lips slightly parted as he tries to catch his breath. Oh my God, Katniss, stop making bombing sexy.
No, God, please, no, no, no. Because I've had enough of this, dude.
Continue.
You all right? Yeah, I don't think they've seen me. I mean, they're not following us. No, they've targeted something else. I know, there's nothing back there, but the realization hits us at the same time.
He's being a nice guy, doing good things.
The hospital.
Trying to help the hospital.
Instantly, Gale's up and shouting to the others, they're targeting the hospital. Not your problem. Get to the bunker. But there's nothing there but the wounded.
Yeah, man, this is a dick move.
Katniss, I hear the warning note in Haymitch's voice and know it's coming. Don't you even think about... So she yanks the earpiece free and lets it hang from its wire. With that distraction gone, I hear another sound. Machine gun fire coming from the roof of the dirt brown warehouse across the alley. Someone is returning fire. Before anyone can stop, I make a dash for an access ladder. What the fuck are you going to do against a bunch of bombers?
Well, she shoots explosive arrows at them and it makes them blow up.
Before anyone can stop me.
To which I'm kind of like, why don't you guys have better... Oh, because they're the districts. Okay, yeah.
I make a dash for an access ladder and begin to scale it, climbing, one of the things I do best. Don't stop, I hear Gale say behind me. Then there's the sound of his boot on someone's face. If it belongs to Boggs, Gale's going to pay for it dearly later on. I make the roof.
It does.
And drag myself into the tar. I stop long enough to pull Gale up beside me, and then we take off for the row of machine gun nests on the street side of the warehouse. Each looks to be manned by a few rebels. We skid into a nest with a pair of soldiers hunching down behind the barrier. Boggs, know you're up here?
It's very exciting.
To my left, I see Payable behind one of the guns, looking at us quizzically. I try to be evasive without flat out lying. He knows we're here, all right. Payable laughs. I bet he does. You've been trained in these? She slaps the stock of her gun. I have. In 13, but I'd rather use my own weapons. Yes, we've got our bows. I hold mine up, then realize how decorative it must seem. It's more deadly than it looks. It would have to be. All right. We expect at least 3 more waves. They'll have to drop their sight shields before they release the bombs. That's our chance. Stay low. Okay. I nod and pull an arrow from my right sheath. If we miss our targets, these arrows will land somewhere, probably the warehouses across the street. A fire can be put out, but the damage an explosive can do may be irreparable. Suddenly, they appear in the sky 2 blocks down, maybe 100 yards above us. 7 small bombers in a V formation. Geese, I yell at Gale. He'll know exactly what I mean. During migration season, when we hunt fowl, we've developed a system of dividing the birds so we don't both target the same ones. I get the far side of the V, Gale takes the near, and we alternate shots at the front bird. There's no time for further discussion. I estimate the land time on the hoverplanes and let my arrow fly. I catch the inside wing of one, causing it to burst into flames. Gale just misses the point plane. A fire blooms on an empty warehouse roof across from us. He swears under his breath. The hoverplane I hit swerves out of formation, but still releases its bombs. It doesn't disappear, though. Neither does one other I assume was hit by gunfire. The damage must prevent the sight shield from reactivating. Good shot. I wasn't even aiming for that one. They're faster than we think. Positions! Fire's no good. I nod and we both load explosive-tipped arrows.
This is pretty fucking cool,
Those warehouses across the way look deserted anyway. As the plane sweeps silently in, I make another decision. I'm standing, I shout to Gale and rise to my feet. This is the position I get the best accuracy from. I lead earlier and score a direct hit on the point plane, blasting a hole in its belly. Gale blows the tail off a second. It flips and crashes into the street, setting off a series of explosions as its cargo goes off. Without warning, a third V formation unveils. This time, Gale squarely hits the point plane. I take the wing off the second bomber, causing it to spin into the one behind it.
It's pretty cool.
Together, they collide into the roof of the warehouse across from the hospital. A fourth goes down from gunfire.
Get him. I mean, ultimately, none of this really makes a difference, but it's cool.
Yeah. I scramble down from the ladder. When my feet hit the ground, I find a bodyguard, Cressida, and the other insect waiting. That's what she calls the cameraman. I expect resistance, but Cressida just waves me toward the hospital. She's yelling, I don't care, Plutarch, just give me 5 more minutes. Not one to question a free pass.
Fun.
I take off into the street. Oh no, I whisper as I catch sight of the hospital.
Okay, well now it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, what used to be the hospital. I move past the wounded, past the burning plane wrecks, fixated on the disaster ahead of me. People screaming, running about frantically, but unable to help. The bombs have collapsed the hospital roof and set the building on fire, effectively trapping the patients within. A group of rescuers has assembled, trying to clear a path to the inside, but I already know what they will find. If the crushing debris and the flames don't get them, the smoke did.
I hate it.
So I slowly turn back to the hospital and find Cressida flanked by the insects standing a couple of yards in front of her, her manners unrattled, cool even. Katniss, President Snow just had them air the bombing live. Then he made an appearance to say that this was his way of sending a message to the rebels. What about you? Would you like to tell the rebels anything? Yes. The red blinking light on one of the cameras catches my eye. I know I'm being recorded. Yes, I say more forcefully. Everyone is drawing away from me. Gale, Cressida, the insects, giving me the stage. But I stay focused on the red light. I want to tell the rebels that I am alive. That I'm right here in District 8, where the capital has just bombed a hospital full of unarmed men, women, and children. There will be no survivors. The shock I've been feeling, begins to give way to fury. I want to tell people that if you think for 1 second the capital would treat us fairly if there's a ceasefire, you're deluding yourself. Because you know who they are and what they do. My hands go out automatically, as if to indicate the whole horror around me. This is what they do. And we must fight back. President Snow says he's sending us a message. Well, I have one for him. You can torture us and bomb us and burn our districts to the ground. But do you see that? One of the cameras follows as I point to the planes burning on the roof of the warehouse across from us. The capital's seal on a wing glows clearly through the flames. Fire is catching. I'm shouting now, determined that he will not miss a word. And if we burn, you burn with us. My last words hang in the air. I feel suspended in time, held aloft in a cloud of heat that generates not from my surroundings, but from my own being. Cut! Cressida's voice snaps me back to reality, extinguishes me. She gives me a nod of approval. That's a wrap. And that is the end of chapter 7.
Yeah, it's a good chapter. It's sad.
Sad.
Cool speech. Sad event.
Very sad event. Any thoughts?
I need to stop worrying about whether or not this was actually the capital, because it was, and I should get over this. It's fucked up. I mean, it's a big action scene. It's exciting. It's an early. We're about 25% of the way into the book at this point, ish, right?
Ish.
It's big moment for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fucked up. You want to know what?
Yeah.
It gets worse.
Ah, good.
How does it get worse than bombing a hospital?
Oh, it'll get worse. I'm sure it'll get worse.
So much worse. It's a day later for us because we took a break because we're people doing things.
It's true.
What chapter are we on?
8.
We're on chapter 8 with arms wide open. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Apparently,
You're
that's
doing
what
a
my
great
ADHD
job.
wants
I'm very
me to do.
proud of you.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Chapter 8.
Yes.
Do you have
I do have notes.
Give 'em to
Katniss
us.
is getting more concussions than a certain daughter heir.
That's a Wheel of Time
It
reference.
is. Wait, why do I know the names Castor and Pollux? Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I knew
The
that.
Greeks.
They're the twins. They're Lita's twin kids, because Suze is getting really literal with the parallels now.
Yeah. Suze was like, fuck it. Make it as Greek as I want.
Greek, Roman, whatever.
Fuck it.
Oh, man.
Are they Roman or Greek?
Greek. That's Lita. Lita, as in the swan. Lita and the swan.
It's
One
Greek.
of them, yes.
Yeah,
one of
okay.
them is Zeus's kid. The other one is someone else's kid. They're heteropaternalistic twins, I think.
Wow, heteropaternalistic is something you just pulled out.
I read it online. They're
Oh,
twins
okay.
with two different dads, is what that means.
Okay, I saw that on Maury one time.
Fun.
My favorite thing is how shook Maury was.
I would also be. It feels like it'd be kind of rare and hard to do.
My grandma was a big fan of the Maury show.
Yes.
And so I would watch it
Yes.
fairly regularly
Yes.
with her. And yeah, there was just this one, I'll never forget it. I will never even forget where I was, where it was twins, but yeah, they had different dads. And Maury was so shook. And he goes, do you know how close together that has to be for that to be even possible?
It's really quite difficult.
He was impressed.
It's rare, actually. It's not difficult. It's just rare.
He didn't, like, what I like about Maury is he never slut shames the women.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, good. You shouldn't.
Yeah. He's just like, all right.
Oh, man. I feel squicky about using footage of the dead kids as propaganda, but I also get it in the context of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Do a fox face tribute, you cowards.
Honestly.
Because Finnick, they're like doing
Katniss
these...
is like, I'm against it, actually.
Yeah, they're doing these tribute videos, and I was like, come on, give it to me, come on.
You just want that bingo square?
I want that bingo square.
Hilarious.
It's not going to happen. And then the last thing I read for this chapter was, Peeta, who did this to you? I will destroy them.
Oh, yeah. Either he got punched in the face.
He's horribly malnourished and looks like shit. And then next chapter, he gets punched in the face.
Oh, yeah,
Because he yells, dead by morning. And I hate that. That's just really ominous and uncomfortable, and I don't like it.
To hear what you think that means.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
There's an obvious answer, but I don't think that's what it is.
So, all right. Is that it, guys?
That's all I have for chapter
All right.
8, yes.
Boggs appears and gets a firm lock on my arm, but I'm not planning on running now. I look over at the hospital just in time to see the rest of the structure give way, and the fight goes out of me. All those people, the hundreds of wounded, the relatives, the medics from 13 are no more. I turn back to Boggs. Did you notice that I specifically skipped over all the sadness, all the interactions of her with the specific people in the hospital? Because I was like,
I did notice that.
You know what? I don't need to put myself
sad.
through that today.
Because it's very sad.
I don't need to do it. I have decided that sometimes I don't need to do that to myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't need to do it. Protect me. You know what I mean? I'm going to protect me. Oh, yeah. Boggs has some swelling on his face left by Gale's boot. So Gale has gone from licking boots to stomping them. And Katniss is pretty sure his nose is broken. And Boggs says, back to the landing strip. And I'm like, Gale wishes that he could be all up in Katniss's landing strip.
Okay. That's a lot.
Anyway. But yeah, Katniss is having all kinds of problems, so Boggs actually ends up having to scoop her up and carry her to the hovercraft. And she pukes on his bulletproof vest.
Well, yeah, that's called a concussion.
Oh yeah, she's fucked up for sure.
She's very concussed.
Go to a hospital. But there's no hospital here for her to go to. Anyway, Katniss falls asleep, which I thought you're not supposed to do.
You're not supposed to do that if you have a concussion, but I think they're also like, well, we can't find her anyway. She keeps running away from us. Can't stop her if you can't find her.
Well, no, she's
do they
with
just
them
let
on
her
the
go to sleep?
hovercraft, and they just let her go to sleep, which
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
you shouldn't
that
do
is
that.
not what you're supposed to do. Yeah, she literally is lying on the floor with her head in Gale's lap and falls asleep, which I'm like, that is, and Boggs spreads burlap sacks over her as like a blanket. And I'm like, you were not supposed to let that woman fall asleep.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
That's bad rescuing. And her mother wakes her up, checking her vital signs, as she should, because Katniss fell asleep with a concussion.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. Oh, and no one told Katniss's mom or sister that she was going until she had left already. Which I'm like, and Katniss feels some guilt, which she should. When your family's had to send you off twice to the Hunger Games, this isn't the kind of detail you should overlook.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Katniss apologizes, which she should. And Katniss says, they weren't expecting the attack. I was just supposed to be visiting the patients. Next time I'll have them clear it with you. Katniss, no one clears anything with me.
Oh, Kudzu.
Poor Kudzu. Honestly, Kudzu's a victim.
She's been through a lot.
We have really 86'd on Kudzu.
86 doesn't mean that.
180.
Yes.
That's the word. Those are the numbers.
86 means something else.
That's to get rid of, right?
Yes.
My bad. Those numbers.
You're good.
I'm tired.
Well, I think because at the beginning we were like, Kudzu, you got to get over it. You should have gotten over it. But also we get it.
I don't think
it's all nuanced,
I'm
right?
I'm not like, I wasn't like, get over it.
No,
but I'm like,
I'm being reductive.
I understand that you are deeply in grief, but if you don't want to be even deeper in grief, you kind of have to take care of those starving kids.
I think we were always pretty sympathetic to Kudzu.
I agree.
I think we were, we gave her some shit, but we were also
which
like,
I think she deserved a little bit, because I'm like, okay, you know what? The answer to grief isn't letting your kids starve. Like, that's just...
Now, if I do admittedly, I was, according to you, Team Gale for 1 minute. So I guess I've done a complete 180 on Gale.
No, I feel like you kind of have been consistently anti-Gale.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this, and I'm trying to figure out why he rubs me the wrong way so hard. And I think a lot of it is that because he does a lot of good stuff, and I'm not contesting that he does do a lot of good stuff. He does. He's a heroic person in a lot of ways. He's helpful in a crisis. He's useful. He clearly looks out for Katniss. But he can't hold any space for her trauma, and he doesn't try to. And when her trauma and history get in the way of the thing he wants to do or have done, he just gets mad about it. That's what really pisses me off about him. I believe I described him as he's like a nice guy who's like, I love Nietzsche. Like Nietzsche, whatever. That's kind of the wrong way to put it, but I feel like he thinks he is always right.
Yeah, I feel like his heart's maybe in the right place a lot of the time, but he's so tunnel vision about his goals that maybe he forgets the hot nuance and the human cost of the things that he's thinking about.
Yeah, and I also I really struggle with this bit later in these chapters where she kisses him and he's like, I knew you'd do that because I was sad. And I'm like, I know you didn't go to her sad to get a kiss, but
it feels weird that you're able to name that.
You're able to identify. That's just, I don't
potentially manipulate that.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, man. Because Peeta in book 2 went up to her and was like, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm sorry. I get it. We can be friends. It's fine. Gale just kind of never brought it up again, and then is like, oh, I'll be sad and she can kiss me. And again, I'm not saying he's manipulating the situation, but he knows that he could, and he mentions that he knows that he could. And I don't know, it just does. I just don't love it. Am I off the rails here?
No, I don't think you are. I think, you know what? I think you're dead on, honestly.
I know I've been shitting on Gale a lot lately, and part of it's because I think it's funny. But I do want to acknowledge that he is doing a lot of really good stuff, even if I disagree with a lot of it, and even if I disagree with his personality towards almost everything.
Yeah, he does have a little bit of an explosive personality.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Just nobody can compare to Peeta, even though he's in prison.
You just love a bread boy.
I love the bread boy.
You love the bread boy.
Free the bread boy.
Free the bread boy.
All right. Sorry. Go on.
And, Katniss won't have to deal with his sucky mom as a mother-in-law. That's kind of like a bonus.
Well, who? Peeta?
Peeta.
Why, because she's fucking dead?
She's fucking dead.
Jeez. I mean, you're right.
It's fucking horrible. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. How awkward would family Thanksgiving be? Like, oh, you were like cool with me starving?
That would be kind of rough.
Let's please pass the yams. Be a little awkward.
Is there more pie? Not for you.
Not for you.
Hoyden.
Hoyden?
It's a word that we talked about in our Wheel of Time episode. It means a boisterous woman.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Hoyden.
Hoyden. All right. Sorry. Go on. We're like an hour 45 into this now. I don't know when the fuck I'm going to put this thing up.
So she goes around and she gets wheeled down to see, and Katniss gets uneasy because she and Gale directly disobeyed orders yesterday and injured Boggs on purpose.
Well, yeah. Boggs is cool.
Surely there will be repercussions, but will they go so far as coin annulling our agreement for the victor's immunity? Have I stripped Peeta of what little protection I could give him?
No.
So she gets to command, and the Capitol team are there, and they're really happy. They impressed me in 8, following me to the roof during the bombing, making Plutarch back off so that they could get the footage they wanted. They more than do their work. They take pride in it, like Cinna. I have a strange thought that if we were in the arena together, I would pick them as allies. Cressida, Masala, and I have to stop calling you the insects. I blurt out to the cameramen. I explain how I didn't know their names, but their suits suggested the shelled creatures. The comparison doesn't seem to bother them. Even without the camera shells, they strongly resemble each other. Same sandy hair, red beards, and blue eyes. The one with close-bitten nails introduces himself as Castor, and the other, who's his brother, as Pollux.
Didn't you tell me that Castor is played by Wes Chatham?
Yes.
That's fucking awesome.
Amos in some show.
Yeah. Amos Burton.
In some show.
There's a character named Amos Burton in these great books I really like. They're called The Expanse.
Oh, yes, these books.
The books are great. I don't know about any other form of media because I can't talk about it. Never heard of any.
Pollux is an Avox. They have cut out his tongue and he will never speak again. And I no longer have to wonder what made him risk everything to help bring down the Capitol. That's fucking rough.
Yeah, man. Not good. You know what they said right before they made Pollux an Avox?
What?
Because I've had enough of this dude.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
Sorry.
Oh, so they've made this thing they call the airtime assault.
Oh, yeah.
Of their first propo, which is like propaganda.
Yeah, I'd say propo.
And they've had like 17 reruns of it.
Yeah, because BT is just fucking blitzing the airwaves.
And Katniss is like, so they not only got usable footage, they've already slapped together a propo and aired it repeatedly. My palms grow moist in anticipation of seeing myself on television. What if I'm still awful? What if I'm as stiff and pointless as I was in the studio?
Nah.
And they've just given up on getting anything better.
Nah, you're good. You're fine.
Girlie, you're a natural. So she sees it. Suddenly, there I am, replacing the Mockingjay, standing before the real flames and smoke of District 8. And she says the whole thing that she just said. Back to me now, my hands lifting up to indicate the outrage around me. Now comes a truly fantastic montage of the battle. The initial bombs falling, us running, being blown to the ground, a close-up of my wound, which looks good and bloody, scaling the roof, diving into the nests, and then some amazing shots of the rebels, Gale, and mostly me.
I don't know. I don't think these mics can pick it up, but there's sirens and helicopters right now, which is...
What a mood.
Very appropriate background for this.
Knocking those planes out of the sky. Smash cut back to me moving in on the camera. We're with the camera, tracking to the planes, burning the roof of the warehouse, tied on the Capitol seal on a wing, which melts back into the image of my face, shouting at the president, "Fire is catching, and if we burn, you burn with us." Flames engulf the screen again. Superimposed on them in black, solid letters are the words, "If we burn, you burn with us." The words catch fire and the whole screen burns to blackness. Pretty dope.
That's pretty good, man.
Coin indulgently hits the replay button, and this time, since I know what will happen, I try to pretend that I'm watching this on my television at home in the seam. An anti-capital statement. There's never been anything like it on television. Not in my lifetime, anyway.
It's pretty good, man.
And she asks, did it play all over Panem? Did they see it in the Capitol? And they didn't see it in the capital, but everywhere else in all the districts. And she asks if Claudius Templesmith is with them.
Oh, yeah, because there's a clip of his voice, and they're like, no, that's public domain,
and
girl.
they're like, nah, that's his voice, which, is something that they're trying to prevent from happening with the whole strike thing.
Yes.
People stealing people's voices.
Yes. How on brand.
How on brand. How appropriate. Fulvia looks a little unhappy at how well this went.
Oh, yeah, because she's a little bitter.
Yeah, she's a little bitter that her approach was not as good.
Because, all she accomplished was Katniss going, we fight, and there are the people of... I had a chew gum to upside when down window.
Yeah.
You know what it's called when your brain, stops assigning meaning to words?
Yeah.
And language. You know what that's called?
Anomia?
Aphasia.
Aphasia. Coin questions the decision to send Katniss into battle, active battle. But Katniss says she's fine with it. But Coin says, well, let's just be a little more judicious with her exposure, especially now that the capital knows what she can do. As if they didn't know what she could do already, considering the Hunger Games of it all.
Well, yeah, but,
But, she's a 16-year-old. Do we need to...
She's an 18-year-old. 17,
She
18.
18 now?
She's somewhere in there. I don't know. Because the
maybe
first
she's
book,
17.
and then a year went by, and she was 17, and now it's an indeterminate amount of time. So I just assume a book a year.
True.
That tends to be the easier way. She's 17, 18, somewhere in there.
And
that's the point in your life where, 1 year makes a lot of difference in terms of your mental wherewithal.
Yeah, that's true. They're planning on doing another propo of Katniss at the hospital, and Fulvia's annoyed.
Well, yeah.
But Cressida says that Fulvia came up with a really brilliant idea.
I love this. This is such good leadership on her part.
Yeah. And
did you say this was Natalie Dormer?
Yeah.
What the fuck? All right, go on. It's just great.
I know. The cast in this freaking series is absolutely unparalleled. It's so crazy. It's so wild. Sorry. But she says, well, I don't know how brilliant it is, but I was thinking we could do a series of propos called We Remember. In each one, we would feature one of the dead tributes, Little Rue from 11 or Old Mags from 4. The idea being that we could target each district with a very personal piece. A tribute to your tributes, as it were, says Plutarch. That is a brilliant idea, Fulvia. It's the perfect way to remind people why we're fighting. I thought it could work. I thought we might use Finnick to intro and narrate the spots, if there was interest in them. Frankly, I don't see how we could have too many We Remember propos. Can we start producing them today? That's Coin.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, well, shit, okay, let's go. Thanks for giving me a job.
And Cressida has smoothed everything over in the creative department with her gesture, praised Fulvia for what is, in fact, a really good idea, and cleared the way to continue her own on-air depiction of the Mockingjay. What's interesting is that Plutarch seems to have no need to share in the credit. All he wants is for the airtime assault to work. I remember that Plutarch is a head game maker, not a member of the crew, not a piece in the games. Therefore, his worth is not defined by a single element, but by the overall success of the production. If we win the war, that's when Plutarch will take his bow and expect his reward. So everyone gets sent off to get to work. Gale goes with BT down to special weaponry, so Katniss takes a nap. And then Haymitch is there.
Why are we letting the concussed girl nap?
I question that decision making.
I wouldn't do that.
I think eventually it's okay to nap, right?
Yeah. I just only because she just was vomiting from... I know she didn't just get a concussion, but she specifies, they're worried about my brain because I didn't recover fully from my last concussion, and then explosions went off, and they're worried about my brain. I was like, well,
they should be worried about your brain. Multiple concussions that close together is not a great thing. But Haymitch wakes her up from her nap by dangling a thin white wire in front of her nose. It's hard to focus on, but I'm pretty sure what it is. He drops it into the sheets. That is your earpiece. I will give you exactly one more chance to wear it. If you remove it from your ear again, I will have you fitted with this. He holds up some sort of metal headgear I instantly named the head shackle.
She's funny.
It's an alternative audio unit that locks to your skull and under your chin until it's opened with a key. It's basically a chastity belt for your head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have the only key. If for some reason you're clever enough to disable it, Haymitch dumps the head shackle on the bed and whips out a tiny silver chip. I'll authorize them to surgically implant this transmitter into your ear so that I may speak to you 24 hours a day.
All right, hold on. I looked up concussion because I realized we might be accidentally spreading misinformation. I don't want to do that.
That's a really good idea. Let's do that for sure.
I've found mixed commentary. Some people say it's okay to sleep, but have someone with you wake you up every few hours for the first 24 hours. Some people say this is not really a common thing. To the best of my understanding, it seems like you should call a doctor and ask them.
You know what?
Don't
if you're
take
taking
medical advice
from two podcasters, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Do not take medical advice from us. Ever.
Yeah, but it seems
we're
like...
talking out of our ass. We don't know. Actually, we could probably text your mom.
We probably could.
Be like, hey.
She's probably asleep.
Dr. Mom, what do you do when you have a concussion? She'd be like, why?
Why? What happened?
Why? So Katniss thinks Haymitch in my head full time. Horrifying. And promises to keep the earpiece in. And he kind of like teases her by being like, you sure? Because I'm equally happy with any of the three options.
Yeah, I can't find too much about sleep. I'm going to move on. Anyway.
And he also lets her know, while I was waiting, I ate your lunch.
That's fucking funny.
And she says, I'm going to report you. And he says, you do that, sweetheart. He goes out, safe in the knowledge that I'm not the reporting kind. Katniss has some trauma dreams.
What? Katniss?
I know.
No. Her mental health is pristine. It's right up there with Randall Thor's.
So at dinner, Finnick shows up. And right now he's basically living in the hospital.
I mean, yeah.
And they watch the Propo together.
Wait, no, it's Gale. Isn't it Gale?
No, it's
right. I'm sorry. Yeah, of course.
I have the book.
Right, and this is the one where, like, after it, Peeta comes on and is like, Katniss, they're using you.
Yeah, so basically Katniss, like, can't watch it, and Finnick is super understanding of that, but he does say, people should know what happened, and now they do. So, they turn it off before they can run it again, and the Capitol they're going to turn it off before they can run it again, but the Capitol is introducing a special segment, and something about it looks familiar. Yes, it's Caesar Flickerman, and I can guess who his guest will be. Peeta's physical transformation shocks me. The healthy, clear-eyed boy I saw a few days ago has lost at least 15 pounds in a few days.
No, because they recorded that first one a while ago.
And developed a nervous tremor in his hands. They've still got him groomed. But underneath the paint that cannot cover the bags under his eyes and the fine clothes that cannot conceal the pain he feels when he moves is a person badly damaged.
Free the Breadboy.
My mind reels, trying to make sense of it. I just saw him. 5 days ago.
Free him.
How has he deteriorated so rapidly?
No.
What could they possibly have done to him in such a short time? Then it hits me. I replay in my mind as much as I can of his first interview with Caesar, searching for anything that would place it in time. There is nothing. They could have taped that interview a day or two after I blew up the arena, then done whatever they wanted to do to him ever since. Oh, Peeta, I whisper. Caesar and Peeta have a few empty exchanges before Caesar asks him about the rumors that I'm taping propos for the districts. Propos. They're using her, obviously, to whip up the rebels. I doubt she even really knows what's going on in the war. What's at stake? Is there anything you'd like to tell her? There is. Don't be a fool, Katniss. Think for yourself. They've turned you into a weapon that could be instrumental in the destruction of humanity. If you've got any real influence, use it to put the brakes on this thing. Use it to stop the war before it's too late. Ask yourself, do you really trust the people you're working with? Do you really know what's going on? And if you don't, find out. Black screen, seal of Panem. show over.
See, there's an extent to which he's got some points, but also he sounds kind of like the people who are like, SAG, you have to go back to the table, SAG. You have to give in, because what about the economy? What are you doing to the economy, SAG and WGA?
And you're like, I don't understand why that's my fucking responsibility.
Maybe you should talk to the producers. Anyway, the AMPTP, sorry.
Yeah. Finnick grips me hard by the arms. We didn't see it. What? We didn't see Peeta. Only the Propo on 8. Propo. Jesus. It's hard to remember. Anyway.
Propo and Query.
Leave me alone. Then we turned off the set because the image upsets you. Got it? Finish your dinner. I pull myself together enough so that when Plutarch and Fulvia enter, I have a mouthful of bread and cabbage. Finnick.
Part of the nutritious breakfast.
Finnick is talking about how well Gale came across on camera. We congratulate them on the propo. Nailed it.
You crushed that. Fuck yeah.
Thank you. Make it clear it was so powerful we tuned out right afterward. They look relieved. They believe us. Why don't they want them to?
Because Gale explicitly said directly to Katniss, don't trust District 13.
Oh, Peeta, you mean?
Yeah. Did I say Gale again?
Yep.
Oh my God.
We're both just a mess today between Query and
Propo and
Propo and
Peeta
and Gale.
Gale, Peeta.
But
Somebody said it's really funny because this was definitely laid out to be, I think it was Sulin online, said this is definitely set up to be like Team Edward, Team Jacob. And then Gus just blasts in on page 1, absolutely despising Gale.
You just have instincts, I suppose.
I don't know.
Whether they're good or bad.
Well, you want me to read,
seen.
not you want me. I am looking forward to, after we finish this series, we're probably doing Sarah J. Maas, right?
Uh-huh.
And I know that I know
Careful.
very little, but I know that at least some characters you like and then you don't.
Well, I operated under the assumption.
In some of her series. I don't know any specifics, so I'm not going to get too into it.
Right. I operated under the assumption that you would never read it.
Why would you assume that? It looks fun.
Because I am silly.
It looks fun. You clearly enjoyed it.
I regret telling you anything about it, though, knowing that that's now probably going to be the next series
I remember nothing. I remember that there's like a wolf guy, and there was something about soap.
I don't even know what that is.
It was some weird internet thing about soap. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. Oh, I know what that is. I'll explain later.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the book.
Right. Sorry.
That we're talking about now.
Book,
the current series.
Not the other one.
So they look relieved. They believe us. No one mentions Peeta. Again, Sue's with the frickin' chapter endings.
Crushing it.
Just crushing the game always. All right. And now that is the end of chapter 8. Chapter 9, Gus. Do you have any notes
I
for
do.
us?
I don't like how much coin in District 13 like Gale, but that might just be a transitive property thing because of how much I dislike Gale.
Could be.
Why does everything bring up a fresh pang of grief? I don't know, Katniss. Maybe because they blew up Appalachia. Going from existential horror at the destruction of home and pondering what remains directly to cheese sandwiches are passed around is a lot.
That is a lot.
Can Katniss have one genuine moment that isn't on camera? Jesus Christ, I'm gonna fucking cry.
Was Suzanne Collins, by any chance, inspired by reality television?
Yes. Don't kiss him, Katniss!
Really, I've had enough of this dude.
Laughs evilly.
All right, that's what I got.
I stopped trying to sleep after my first few attempts are interrupted by unspeakable nightmares. Can't imagine why. Cressida makes Katniss record some lines for Sopropo because, we have a teenager leading a rebellion. Always a good idea to have a teenager set up for martyrdom.
Rough.
She gets some permission to take Finnick to the woods so that he can touch grass. That's nice for him. And Finnick... And they also get an opportunity to kind of talk safely together. And he says, I haven't heard one word about it. No one's told you anything? Not even Gale?
Ugh.
I'm clinging to a shred of hope that Gale honestly knows nothing about Peeta's message, but I have a bad feeling he does.
I kind of understand why he doesn't tell her. She treats it like this huge betrayal. But I'm like, he's doing bad, and he's, being forced to repeat propaganda. I'm sure he doesn't want to say that. He's literally just trying to keep her alive. Like, this is only bad.
Right.
Like, I'm sure Peeta saying this is like, God, I hope she's not fucking watching.
Yeah, but she totally is.
Yeah.
And Finnick says, maybe he's trying to find a time to tell you privately? And she says, maybe. And Katniss takes down a whole ass deer. Then they have dinner. And Gale again doesn't mention anything about Peeta.
Yeah, well,
As soon as my mother and sister are asleep, I slip the pearl from the drawer and spend a second sleepless night clutching it in my hand, replaying Peeta's words in my head. Find out. What?
Pearl.
From who? I know.
Pearl.
And how can Peeta know anything except what the capital tells him?
Yes.
It's just a capital propo.
Hey.
I hesitated. I hesitated for a reason.
You got it, though.
More noise. But if Plutarch thinks it's just the capital line, why didn't he tell me about it? Why hasn't anyone let me or Finnick know? Under this debate lies the real source of my distress. Peeta. What have they done to him? And what are they doing to him right now? Clearly Snow did not buy the story that Peeta and I knew nothing about the rebellion. And his suspicions have been reinforced now that I have come out as the Mockingjay. Peeta can only guess about the rebel tactics or make up things to tell his torturers. Lies once discovered would be severely punished. How abandoned by me he must feel. In his first interview, he tried to protect me from the capital and rebels alike. And not only have I failed to protect him, I've brought down more horrors upon him. Come morning, I stick my forearm in the wall and stare groggily at the day's schedule. Immediately after breakfast, I am slated for production. So she's got some stuff. She sees Gale at breakfast, and Gale's going to be in the field with her as a backup system of communication.
They're going to District 13. 12.
No one has offered me a communicuff. I wonder if I asked for one, would I get it?
Yeah, man. I'm just kind of like, okay, what is the relationship between Gale and 13? Because it's tighter than I expected it to be. I don't know, man.
And Katniss says, well, I guess one of us has to be accessible. He says, what does that mean? Nothing. Just repeating what you said. And I totally agree that the accessible one should be you. I just hope I still have access to you as well. Our eyes lock and I realize how furious I am with Gale. That I don't believe for a second that he didn't see Peeta's propo. That I feel completely betrayed that he didn't tell me about it. We know each other too well for him not to read my mood and guess what caused it. Katniss, already the admission of guilt on his tone. I grab my tray, cross to the deposit area, and slam the dishes onto the rack. By the time I'm in the hallway, he's caught up with me. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't I? Why didn't you, Gale?
Yeah, see, then he gets mad at her, and this is where I'm
and
like...
I did, by the way. Yeah, what? Sorry.
I do regret that I've spent the entirety of Mockingjay just talking about how much I hate Gale, but there's a lot of Gale, so I feel like it's relevant.
Gale. It's a Gale-centric book.
Just like... He's really not giving her any space here. And yeah, he's 20. And yeah, he's not fully developed, etc., but like, buddy.
Yeah. She says, by the way, when I asked you last night about, and I did, by the way, when I asked you last night about what had been going on.
I mean, admittedly, she is also lashing out.
Totally.
A lot.
Yeah.
Which in her case, she's deeply fucking traumatized.
Someone's got to realize it. Someone's got to give her a fucking break.
I know he's also been through a lot. It's not the same.
Well, I mean, he did witness his entire town being firebombed.
He also got everybody he knew and cared about out. And like, yes, it is traumatizing. That's bad.
Well,
that
maybe
sucks.
not everybody. We don't know if he got everybody out.
Let me roll that back. He has not been through the same degree of systemic, like, targeted, protracted, prolonged, prescribed trauma that Katniss has. Yeah, he's been through some shit, but like, I don't know.
No, you're right. And he says, I'm sorry, all right? I didn't know what to do. I wanted to tell you, but everyone was afraid that seeing Peeta's propo would make you sick. They were right.
Peeta's what?
Propo. Fuck. They were right. It did. but not quite as sick as my pronunciation of Propo. They were right. It did, but not quite as sick as you lying to me for coin. And then his communicuff starts beeping and she says, there she is. Better run. You have things to tell her. Damn.
Brutal.
Damn. Yeah. So at first he looks hurt, but then cold anger replaces it. And then he leaves.
I know. They're all just hurt people. I know.
And she thinks to herself, I'm sick of people lying to me for my own good, because really it's mostly for their own good.
I mean, admittedly, last book you were lying to Peeta for his own good, Katniss. So like,
and the book before.
Yeah, I mean, kind of turnabout's fair play a little bit, but also you're right.
Lie to Katniss about the rebellion so she doesn't do anything crazy. Send her into the arena without a clue so we can fish her out. Don't tell her about Peeta's Propo because it might make her sick, and it's hard enough to get a decent performance out of her as it is.
I wouldn't want her to know about it either. Like, to be honest, I'm kind of on Gale's side in that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want her to know about that fucking thing. That's a fucking targeted propaganda piece directly designed as a hit against her.
Right.
I wouldn't want her to fucking see it.
Yeah.
I understand why she wants to have seen it, but like, I get it.
So,
yeah. Why is everybody sympathetic? Except Snow.
For now. No, I'm just kidding.
The ballads of songbirds and people who are snaky follows a young Coriolanus Snow who just wants to make the world a better place. And
oh, damn. Wouldn't that be something?
I don't even know.
I don't even know. I don't know because I haven't read it. We're going to read it for the first time together.
I know.
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Exquisite suffering.
It's going to hurt.
Every now and again, people ask me, like, Gus, are you okay? Well, yeah, I'm having a great time doing this. Don't get me wrong. This is really fucking fun for me.
So Cressida wants to do some unscripted interviews about District 12. Plutarch's brimming with satisfaction as he shows me the before-after effects of the first couple of propos. Jesus. The rebels, who were barely maintaining a foothold in several districts, have rallied. They've actually taken 3 and 11, the latter so crucial since it's Panem's main food supplier.
That's cool, man.
And have made inroads in several other districts as well. Fulvia is going to have the first round of We Remember spots ready tonight, so we can target the individual districts with their dead.
See, here's the reason why Katniss should not believe Peeta when he's like, you gotta stop because you're making the war happen. The capital destroyed Appalachia because Katniss exists.
Peeta doesn't know that, though.
True, yeah.
I'm sure they're not telling him.
I know I'm all over the place today.
Consistency in my Hunger Games, in my podcast. And he says, Phoenix, absolutely marvelous. It's painful to watch, actually, says Cressida. He knew so many of them personally. That's what makes it so effective. Straight from the heart. You're all doing beautifully. Coin could not be more pleased. Gale didn't tell them then about my pretending not to see Peeta and my anger at their cover-up. But I guess it's too little too late because I still can't let it go. It doesn't matter. He's not speaking to me either. So they land and she realizes that Haymitch isn't with them. And Plutarch says it's because he couldn't face it.
Well, yeah.
And Katniss responds, Haymitch, not able to face something, wanted a day off more likely. And he says, I think his actual words were, I couldn't face it without a bottle.
Ow.
Ow. I roll my eyes, long out of patience with my mentor, his weakness for drink, and what he can or can't confront. But about 5 minutes after my return to 12, I'm wishing I had a bottle myself. I thought I'd come to terms with 12's demise, heard of it, seen it from the air, and wandered through its ashes.
No, you're not going to come to terms with that for a long fucking time.
Yeah, it's the annihilation of your entire hometown.
Like, I get it, but it's not going to happen.
And no, like most of the people in it, so no. So Cressida directs the team, and like Katniss is standing back in her kitchen, and Katniss just stares at the sky before Cressida tells them to move on. Gale doesn't get off so easily at his old address. Cressida films him in silence for a few minutes, but just as he pulls the one remnant of his previous life from the ashes, a twisted metal poker, she starts to question him about his family, his job, his life in the seam. She makes him go back to the night of the firebombing and reenact it, starting at his house, working his way down across the meadow and through the woods to the lake, I straggle behind the film crew and the bodyguards, feeling their presence to be a violation of my beloved woods. This is a private place, a sanctuary already corrupted by the capital's evil. Even after we've left behind the charred stumps near the fence, we're still tripping over decomposing bodies. Yikes!
I don't like it.
Do we have to record it for everyone to see? Truly. Honestly. I mean, I feel like this is such a commentary in a way of like, is everything for everyone to experience? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
By the time we reach the lake, Gale seems to have lost his ability to speak. I mean...
You think?
Yep.
This is really fucking shitty. I get it, but like, geez. Ugh. So, I mean, what are they, like, where do they end up going where they kiss each other? I forget where it happens.
When I come back around to the little concrete house beside the lake, I pause in the doorway and see Gale propping the crooked poker he salvaged against the wall by the hearth.
Oh, that. Right. And she's like, this is poetic.
For a moment, I have an image of a lone stranger, sometime far in the future, wandering lost in the wilderness and coming upon this small place of refuge, with the pile of split logs, the hearth, and the poker, wondering how it came to be. Gale turns and meets my eyes, and I know he's thinking about our last meeting here, when we fought over whether or not to run away. What if he's not, though? What if she's just totally projecting?
That would be fucking funny as hell.
If we had, would District 12 still be there? I think it would. But the capital would still be in the control of Panem as well. So everyone's quiet. They pass around some sandwiches.
They eat cheese sandwiches, and then eventually, I mean, not much happens.
A Mockingjay shows up.
Oh, she sings the song.
And Pollux kind of like gestures to her
She sings
pin.
this really fucking depressing song to Pollux.
Yes.
First she does the rue whistle. So she sings this song.
Yeah, so she sings a song.
And it's depressing, and it's about like this hanged man calling to, and it goes through all these different iterations, and at first you think it's just like these people are gonna kiss at a tree, and then like it turns out it's probably this ghost like calling his lover to come be hanged with him. It's good. It's depressing. It's great. And it's a lovely thematic moment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my
bird
modus
sings along with
operandum
her.
whenever I see any song in a piece of literature, because of when I read
I
The Fellowship
have said
of the Ring,
the same thing. I skip
is
over
that
all
my
of it.
brain just goes blue screen. It's a beautiful song, though. I tried really hard to parse it.
I said the
Luckily,
same thing in the Hot Nuance podcast. I was like, every time I see a song in literature, I think to or like anything in italics, I go, I'm not going to read all that. Like that tweet. I'm not going to read all that.
I'm happy for
you. Or sorry that happened.
Luckily, she then gives like an essay explaining what the song is about afterwards, because somebody told Suzanne Collins, the kids are not going to do it.
The kids are not going to read this, Zeus.
And nor are the 30-year-old podcasters. It was beautiful, though.
Yeah.
This is like, when I read Malazan, A Book of the Fallen, many of the chapters start with poems. And as the books go on, the poems get longer to the point where some of the poems are multiple pages long. And I read all of them my first time through. And if I reread Malazan, I may not.
Yeah.
They're not bad. I just don't understand why they're there.
Yeah, but then, so she does this whole thing with the Mockingjays until Cressida calls cut. And Plutarch crosses to me, laughing. Where do you come up with this stuff? No one would believe it if we made it up. You're golden.
Like, it was just a genuine moment, you fucking ass.
Yeah, she says, I wasn't doing it for the cameras. Lucky they were on then. Come on, everybody, back to town. Cressida notices this place that Gale and Katniss look at, and asks what lies that way. We admit without acknowledging each other it's our old hunting rendezvous place. She wants to see it, even after we tell her it's nothing, really. Nothing but a place I was happy, I think. So, you know, she doesn't even let that be sacred to them. Yeah.
Pain.
So she thinks about how Gale betrayed her, but kind of starts to forgive him because they're back in this place.
Fine.
And she asks Cressida to film something at the rubble of the bakery. Peeta. And I think this is kind of a little shitty.
Yeah, a little bit.
She says, Peeta, this is your home. None of your family has been heard of since the bombing. 12 is gone. And you're calling for a ceasefire? There's no one left to hear you.
It's a little shitty, but it's also like he doesn't. If he's telling her you don't understand what you're saying, she's trying to tell him, no, bud, you don't understand what you're saying. Yeah. I kind of get it.
And Cressida asks if either of them have been tortured. In answer, Gale pulls off his shirt and turns his back to the camera. I stare at the lash marks and again hear the whistling of the whip, see his bloody figure hanging unconscious by his wrists. And then she says, I'm done. I'll meet you at the Victor's Village. Something for my mother. So she goes to her house in the Victor's Village, and she remembers the rose on her dresser. Was it real? If so, is it still up there? I have to resist the temptation to check. If it's there, it will only frighten me all over again. I hurry with my packing. When the cabinets are empty, I rise to find that Gale has materialized in my kitchen. Remember? This is where you kissed me.
Oh my God, I hate this part. I hate this part. I hate this fucking part so
much. The heavy dose of morphling administered after the whipping wasn't enough to erase that from his consciousness. I didn't think you'd remember that.
Hate this part.
Have to be dead to forget. Maybe not then. Maybe I'll be like that man in the hanging tree.
Oh, shut the
waiting for an answer.
Up, Gale. Shut up.
To be hurt, to be lost, to be left out in the dark. It's so emo. I can't.
Shut the fuck up. I tried to give you a fucking minute here. I tried to give you some fucking grace. Remember when you kissed me in this kitchen? It's like, she didn't want to.
And he says, I knew you'd kiss me.
Well, she did, but whatever.
How? Because I'm in pain.
Because then she kisses him again.
That's the only way to get your attention. Yeah, she kisses him again.
It's complicated.
Don't worry, Katniss. It'll pass. Is that what he says to her? Which is kind of shitty. Like, ugh. So she goes straight to bed without eating when they get back. And Boggs intercepts her the next day and says, there's a meeting in command. Disregard your current schedule. And Katniss is kind of like, I basically haven't been following it anyway, so who gives a fuck? And he thinks that it's probably to show her the 12 propos.
Yes.
But really it's that BT thinks he's found a way to break into the feed nationwide.
Which he does. It's very dramatic.
And yeah, he does. The capital seal appears, underscored by the anthem. Then I'm staring directly into President Snow's snake eyes as he greets the nation. A happy accident. He seems barricaded behind his podium, but the white rose on his lapel is in full view. The camera
dude
pulls
has
back.
One fucking bit. It's white roses. That's
right?
His only fucking thing.
He decided, he was like, this is my signature. I am the Wet Bandits. The Capitol pulls back to include Peeta off to one side in front of the projected map
what
of
pulls
Panem.
back?
Camera.
Okay, you said capital.
Whoop. Maybe.
No, it's funny. I like it.
He's sitting, I'm so tired. He's sitting in an elevated chair, his shoes supported by a metal rung. The foot of his prosthetic leg taps out a strange, irregular beat. Is he doing Morse code?
No, but that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
No, I think he's just in a bad way.
Probably. Beads of sweat have broken through the layer of powder on his upper lip and forehead, but it's the look in his eyes, angry yet unfocused, that frightens me the most. He's worse.
He's doing bad.
Yeah. Finnick grasps my
Real
hand
fucking bad.
to give me an anchor, and I try to hang on. Poor Finnick doesn't even know how Annie is.
Yeah, I know, man.
He hasn't even seen her.
Meanwhile, here's Gale. His whole family is fine.
So, like, if Peeta, who's going to be on camera, looks this shitty, like, I'm sure you can only imagine how Annie looks. Peeta begins to speak in a frustrated tone about the need for the ceasefire. He highlights the damage done to key infrastructure in various districts, and as he speaks, parts of the map light up, showing images of the destruction: a broken dam in 7, a derailed train with a pool of toxic waste spilling from the tank cars, a granary collapsing after a fire. All of these he attributes to rebel action. Bam! Without warning, I'm suddenly on television, standing in the rubble of the bakery. Plutarch jumps to his feet. He did it! BT broke in! The room's buzzing with reaction when Pete is back, distracted. He has seen me on the monitor. He tries to pick up his speech by moving on to the bombing of a water purification plant when a clip of Finnick talking about Rue replaces him. And then the whole thing breaks down into a broadcast battle as the Capitol Tech Masters try to fend off BT's attack.
This is pretty cool, man.
But they are unprepared. And BT, apparently anticipating he would not hold on to control, has an arsenal of 5 to 10 second clips to work with. We watch the official presentation deteriorate as it's peppered with choice shots from the propos. Are you hoping BT can do more attacks?
You crushed it.
On the Capitol, Gus?
Yes, I want this to happen for 700 pages straight.
Plutarch's in spasms of delight, and almost everybody is cheering BT on, but Finnick remains still and speechless beside me. I see Hamish's eyes from across the room and see my own dread mirrored back, the recognition that with every cheer, Peeta slips even farther from our grasp. The Capitol seals back up, accompanied by a flat audio tone. This lasts about 20 seconds before Snow and Peeta return. The set is in turmoil. We're hearing frantic exchanges from their booth. Snow plows forward, saying that clearly the rebels are now attempting to disrupt the dissemination of information they find incriminating, but both truth and justice will reign. The full broadcast will resume when security has been reinstated. He asks Peeta if, given tonight's demonstration, he has any parting thoughts for Katniss Everdeen. At the mention of my name, Peeta's face contorts in effort. Katniss, how do you think this will end? What will be left? No one is safe. Not in the capital. Not in the districts. And you in 13? He inhales sharply as if fighting for air. His eyes look insane. Dead by morning? Off camera, Snow orders, end it. BT throws the whole thing into chaos by flashing a still shot of me standing in front of the hospital at 3-second intervals. But between the images, we are privy to the real-life action being played out on the set. Peeta's attempt to continue speaking, the camera knocked down to record the white-tiled floor, the scuffle of boots, the impact of the blow that's inseparable from Peeta's cry of pain, and his blood as it splatters the tiles.
You fuckers hit Peeta. That you've gone too far.
And that is the end of chapter 9.
And part 1.
And part 1.
All right. Like the obvious answer to Dead by Morning is they're going to blow up 13, but that doesn't make sense because of how nukes work. I don't know, man. I'm afraid.
It seems ominous.
Could be like a
it?
strike team.
Could be. Do you think that all of our friends at District 13 will escape unscathed? If that is the case?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember anybody's name except Natalie Dormer and West Chatham and Coyne and Pollux. And Boggs. Okay, I actually remember most of them.
That seems like a few.
And Fulvia and Plutarch and the prep team.
Did you say Coyne already?
And Coyne, yeah. Okay, so I actually remember almost everybody from 13. Oh, I bet somebody dies. Let's just say it's Boggs because we've been kind of mean to Boggs lately, and she'll feel bad because if he dies saving her, Finnick might. I doubt it though. We have more shit for Finnick to do. It'd be really sad if Castor or Pollux, but not Castor and Pollux died.
Ooh, that would be sad.
But also maybe this is just ominous-ing.
It could be ominous.
It could be. What do I get? 4 chapters?
Oh, yeah. I figured this out yesterday.
Because at first you said you can read to 12, and then you said or 13 actually, maybe.
Let's see. How does 12 end? Try to leave you on like a cool note. Yeah, I really want you to read to the end of 12.
Just 12? So I get 3?
Yeah, you get 3.
Okay.
All right. That's what you get.
Okay. But next week, we're dark, right?
Yes, because I'm going to be at my sister's bachelorette party.
Yeah, Allie is going to be doing fun family things, and I will be here.
Thank you so much, everyone. This is
that means no episode next week.
No episode next week, but definitely an episode the week after. This has been Wheel Takes. If you want to keep in touch with us, our social media details are below. You can also leave us a rating and review. Blah, 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 blah. You can leave us a rating or a review if you want to support us that way. That is incredibly helpful and free to do. If you want to support us financially so that we can keep doing cool things with this podcast, our Patreon details are also listed below, and you have some cool bonus things that you can access as a patron.
Ad-free episodes.
Ad-free episodes. Anything else, Gus?
Mess with the Peeta, you'll get deleted.
Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye.